My child, stop for a moment and listen carefully, my child. After everything you have lived through, after the warnings you felt deep inside your spirit, the moment I spoke about has finally arrived. This is not just another message passing through your day. This is a turning point, a line drawn between who you were and who you are becoming. Something inside you already knows this is serious, and that quiet stirring you feel is not coincidence. Stay with me and do not rush away, because every word you are about to hear carries truth meant for you personally. Let your heart slow down and listen all the way to the end. What you do with this moment will shape more than you realize, and by the time these words finish, you will understand why you were meant to hear them now. My child, come closer for a moment and listen carefully to what I am about to say to you. I know the road you have been walking, and I know how heavy some of your days have felt. There have been seasons in your life when you sensed that something important was approaching, even though you could not fully explain it. Deep inside you, there was a quiet awareness that your life was moving toward a particular moment, one that would eventually ask you to pause and face the direction your path had taken. You did not always understand why certain thoughts came to your mind or why certain situations stirred your heart more deeply than others. Yet I was there in those moments, gently allowing your spirit to recognize that life does not simply move forward without purpose. You were being prepared, even when you believed everything around you was random or confusing. I have watched you move through days when you felt confident and through nights when you questioned everything about your future. I saw the moments when you tried to push certain feelings aside because it felt easier to ignore them than to confront what they might mean. Still, the sense remained somewhere within you, quiet but steady, like a small voice that would not completely disappear. That voice was not there to trouble you. It was there because I was trying to help your heart understand that choices, time, and direction eventually meet at a place where clarity arrives. Now you are beginning to feel that place forming around you. You may not see every detail yet, but something inside you recognizes that the season you are entering carries more weight than the ones before it. You might look around and wonder why your thoughts feel more reflective lately, why memories surface more often, or why your heart seems to be asking deeper questions about where your life is heading. These things are not accidents. They are signs that your spirit is waking up to the moment that has been moving quietly toward you for a long time. I want you to understand something important as you stand here in this season of awareness. The moment I once warned your heart about was never meant to frighten you or trap you in regret. I am not the kind of father who waits for his child to fail so he can point at the mistake and say, "I told you so." That is not who I am with you. When I spoke gently to your conscience in earlier days, when I placed thoughts in your mind that asked you to slow down or reconsider certain paths, it came from love and concern for the life you were building. I could see the places where certain choices might lead long before the outcomes became visible to you. Yet you were learning, growing, discovering who you were becoming, and part of that journey required you to walk through experiences that would teach your heart things no lecture ever could. I never stepped away from you during those times, even when you believed you were moving through life on your own. I watched the way you handled disappointment, the way you carried questions when answers seemed far away, and the way you tried to keep going even when you felt uncertain about where everything was leading. I also saw the moments when you ignored the quiet warnings that rose inside you, not because you were stubborn, but because you were human and still learning how to listen carefully to the deeper voice within your spirit. Now that the moment has arrived, you may feel a mixture of emotions. Part of you might feel nervous because you sense that life is asking you to be honest with yourself. Another part of you might feel relieved because something that once felt distant has finally become clear enough to face. Both of those feelings are natural. I am not standing here expecting perfection from you. I am simply asking you to stay present with me in this moment instead of turning away from it. when you allow yourself to look honestly at where you are and how you arrived here, you give your heart the chance to grow stronger than it has ever been before. And I promise you this, my child, you are not standing here alone while this moment unfolds. I am right here with you, just as I have always been, ready to guide you through whatever comes next. My child, stay with me for a little while longer and allow your heart to settle. I want you to understand why this moment feels different from the others you have lived through. You have walked through many days that passed quietly, one blending into the next, and most of them seemed ordinary while you were inside them. Yet every life contains certain moments that carry more weight than the rest. These are the places where the road bends, where the direction of your life becomes clearer, and where you begin to see that the path behind you and the path ahead of you are connected in ways you never fully noticed before. You are standing in one of those moments now. I want you to slow your thoughts and pay attention to what is happening inside your spirit, because your heart already senses that this is not just another passing day. Something inside you recognizes that you have arrived at a place where understanding is beginning to rise like the first light of morning. The shadows that once covered certain parts of your life are starting to lift, and the quiet truth that once felt distant is becoming visible. This is why your thoughts have been deeper lately. This is why your heart has been reflecting on things you once avoided thinking about. Your spirit knows that this moment matters, even if your mind is still trying to understand why. You may have wondered why certain memories have been returning to your mind recently. Perhaps you found yourself thinking about choices you made years ago, or conversations that seemed small at the time but now feel significant. I allowed those memories to surface for a reason. I want you to see your journey clearly, not with fear, but with awareness. When a person begins to understand their story honestly, something powerful happens inside them. Wisdom begins to grow where confusion once lived. I am inviting you into that kind of understanding now. Come closer in your thoughts and look at your life with me for a moment. Notice how certain events that once felt random are now connected in ways you did not recognize before. You see how one decision led quietly to another, and how certain doors opened while others remained closed. None of those things happened outside my sight. I watched each step you took, not as a distant observer but as a father who cared deeply about where your path might lead. There were times when I whispered gently to your conscience because I could see the shape of the road ahead more clearly than you could. Some of those whispers were subtle. They felt like a quiet thought telling you to slow down or reconsider something before moving forward. You did not always follow that inner guidance, but that does not mean my love for you ever changed. You were learning, discovering the weight of your choices, and growing through experiences that would eventually shape the person you are becoming. Now that you stand here in this moment, the meaning of those experiences is beginning to reveal itself. Let me ask you to do something very simple right now. Take a quiet breath and allow your heart to become still for a moment. Do not rush past this reflection. Do not distract yourself with noise or movement. Sit with me in the honesty of this moment and look at your life with open eyes. When you do that, you will begin to notice something important. The path you walked had been teaching you all along. The struggles that once felt like chaos were shaping understanding inside you. Even the disappointments carried lessons that are now becoming clearer. I want you to recognize that this moment matters because it is giving you the chance to see your life with wisdom instead of confusion. You are no longer standing in the same place you once were. The person you are today understands things that the younger version of you could not yet see. That growth is not accidental. It is the result of every experience you have lived through, every challenge you endured, and every quiet moment when your heart searched for meaning. So listen closely to me now, my child. Do not treat this moment as something ordinary. Welcome it. Let it speak to you. Allow the understanding rising within your spirit to guide you toward the next step. When you embrace the truth that is unfolding right now, you begin to move forward with clarity instead of uncertainty. My child, when you look at where you stand today, I want you to remember something very important. You did not arrive here by accident. The road that brought you to this moment has been unfolding for a long time, even when you believed you were simply moving from one day to the next without direction. I have been watching your journey closely, seeing the details that you often overlooked. I remember the early days when your dreams were simple and your expectations for life felt wide open. You walked forward with hope, believing that the path ahead would unfold smoothly if you tried hard enough. Over time, reality began to shape your understanding in ways that surprised you. Certain doors opened exactly when you expected them to, while others closed so quickly that you barely understood what had happened. There were moments when you celebrated small victories, and moments when disappointment felt heavier than you thought you could carry. Each of those experiences became part of the road you were walking. Nothing you faced was meaningless. Every challenge, every decision, every unexpected turn contributed to the journey that has brought you here today. You might remember times when you felt lost in the middle of the journey. Perhaps there were seasons when it seemed as if you were walking in circles rather than moving forward. You tried different paths, hoping one of them would lead you toward the peace you were searching for. Some of those paths brought temporary satisfaction, but eventually you discovered they could not give your heart the deeper sense of purpose it longed for. I watched those moments with compassion, not with disappointment. You were learning what truly matters and what does not. Life has a way of revealing truth slowly, often through experience rather than explanation. As you moved through those seasons, your understanding began to grow. You started noticing patterns in your life. Certain choices created peace while others brought complications that followed you longer than expected. This awareness did not arrive all at once. It developed quietly as you continued walking forward. Even when you believed you were making mistakes that could not be undone, I remained beside you, guiding your steps in ways you did not always recognize. My presence was there in the unexpected help that arrived at the right moment, in the strength you found during difficult days, and in the quiet resilience that kept you moving forward when it would have been easier to give up. I want you to pause for a moment and think about the strength you have gained through that journey. Look honestly at what you have endured and what you have learned along the way. You have survived situations that once felt overwhelming. You carried responsibilities that stretched your patience and tested your courage. You faced uncertainty that forced you to grow in ways you never planned. Each of those experiences shaped your character, refining your understanding of yourself and the world around you. Come closer and reflect on this with me. The journey behind you was not wasted time. It was preparation. Every step you took, even the ones you wish had been different, contributed to the wisdom you carry today. That wisdom is the reason you can stand here now with a deeper awareness of your life. The moment you are facing today would not mean the same thing if you had not walked through everything that came before it. Your story hath been unfolding layer by layer, shaping your perspective and strengthening your spirit. I want you to recognize the value of that journey instead of looking at it with regret. Now listen carefully, my child, because this understanding matters as you move forward. The road behind you is part of your story, but it does not control your future unless you allow it to. I am inviting you to see your journey not as a record of failures or missed opportunities, but as a foundation for the wisdom you now carry. Stand with me here for a moment and look at how far you have come. Notice the strength that has grown inside you through experiences that once felt impossible to endure. That strength is real. It is something you earn through perseverance, reflection, and the willingness to keep moving forward even when life became difficult. Hold on to that awareness as you continue walking with me. The moment you are standing in today is connected to every step that brought you here, and the understanding you gain now will shape the path that unfolds ahead. My child, come a little closer and let me speak honestly with you about something you have felt many times, but may not have fully understood. There were moments in your life when a quiet tension appeared inside your spirit. It was subtle, almost like a gentle pressure in your chest or a thought that would not easily leave your mind. You remember those moments, even if you tried to move past them quickly. They often appeared when you were about to make a decision, when you were standing at the edge of a choice that would lead you somewhere important. You might have been in the middle of an ordinary day, talking with someone, planning something for the future, or simply trying to move forward with your life. Yet inside you, something paused. It felt like a quiet voice asking you to look again, to slow down, to think more deeply before taking the next step. I want you to understand something clearly now. Those moments were not random thoughts or imagination. That was me reaching into the quiet place of your conscience because I cared about where your path might lead. I did not interrupt your freedom, and I did not force you to follow a particular direction. Instead, I placed a gentle awareness inside your heart. It was an invitation, not a command. You were free to listen or to move past it. Many times you tried to reason your way around that feeling because it was easier to continue forward than to stop and reconsider everything. I saw that struggle within you. I saw the conversations you had with yourself when you tried to convince your mind that the warning you felt was simply uncertainty or hesitation. Yet the impression remained long enough for you to notice it. That quiet tension had purpose. I was guiding your awareness toward the deeper consequences that certain paths might carry. You did not always see the full picture then. Your understanding was still developing, and life was teaching you through experience as much as through reflection. Now that you look back from where you stand today, you can recognize some of those moments with greater clarity. You remember times when something inside you suggested a different direction, and later you discovered why that inner voice mattered. Do not look at those memories with shame. Instead, look at them with understanding. They show you how closely I have been involved in your life, even during seasons when you believed you were making every decision on your own. Now listen to me carefully and let this truth settle in your heart. The warnings you felt were never meant to make your life smaller or restrict your freedom. I placed them inside your spirit because I could see the roads ahead more clearly than you could at the time. When a father sees his child approaching something dangerous, he does not remain silent. He calls out gently, hoping the child will pause long enough to reconsider the direction they are heading. That is the kind of care that moved my voice toward you. I wanted you to recognize the difference between paths that would bring growth and those that would slowly lead you into confusion. Sometimes you listened, and when you did, the results quietly protected your future. At other times you continued forward despite the hesitation you felt inside. I did not abandon you when that happened. I remained beside you, even when the consequences of those choices began to unfold. You might remember how certain situations gradually became more complicated than you expected. What began as a simple decision sometimes grew into a chain of events that took time to untangle. I was there during those moments as well, guiding your heart through the lessons they carried. Now I want you to do something for me. Do not rush past this reflection. Take a moment and let your thoughts revisit the places where you sense those quiet warnings. Look at them honestly. You will notice something important when you do. Each of those moments held a seed of wisdom that has grown inside you over time. The awareness you carry today did not appear overnight. It was shaped through those experiences. This is why I am speaking to you now with such openness. I want you to recognize that my voice has always been close to you, even when it seemed quiet. Learn to trust that voice again. When you feel that gentle pause in your spirit, do not dismiss it. Sit with it. Ask what it might be showing you. Invite me into that moment and allow your heart to listen. The more you welcome that guidance, the clearer it will become. I am not asking you to live in fear of making mistakes. I am inviting you to walk forward with awareness, understanding that your life carries meaning and direction. When you begin to recognize the guidance I place within your spirit, your path becomes steadier and your choices grow wiser. My child, I want to talk with you about something that every person eventually comes to understand, often through experience rather than explanation. Life is shaped by the decisions you make, even the ones that seem small when they first appear. Each choice becomes part of a larger pattern that gradually forms the direction of your life. When you are young or when you are moving quickly through busy seasons, it is easy to believe that one decision will not matter very much. You might think that what you choose today can always be changed later without much consequence. Over time, however, the truth reveals itself quietly. Decisions carry weight. They are like seeds placed into the soil of your future. Some grow into things that bring peace, while others develop into situations that require patience, effort, and sometimes healing. I want you to understand this not as a warning meant to frighten you, but as wisdom that will help you move forward with greater clarity. You have already experienced how decisions influence your life. When you look back at certain chapters of your journey, you can see how a single moment of choice created a path that continued unfolding long afterward. Perhaps it was a relationship you entered, an opportunity you accepted, or a direction you followed because it seemed promising at the time. In those moments, you did the best you could with the understanding you had. Yet the results of those choices sometimes carried lessons you did not anticipate. I watched you walk through those experiences, learning slowly how actions connect with outcomes. That learning process is not a sign of failure. It is part of becoming wise. You now stand in a place where you can see those connections more clearly than before. That clarity is valuable. It gives you the ability to shape the next steps of your life with intention rather than impulse. Come with me in your thoughts for a moment and consider the power you hold through your choices. You are not a passenger drifting through life without influence over where the road leads. Every day you place new seeds into the soil of your future through the decisions you make. Some of those seeds will grow quickly, showing results within a short time. Others will remain beneath the surface for longer seasons before their outcomes appear. This is why I am inviting you to approach your choices with awareness. Slow your pace when important decisions stand before you. Invite me into those moments and allow your heart to become still before you move forward. When you do that, you begin to see beyond the immediate situation and into the deeper meaning of what lies ahead. You might ask yourself simple questions that help your spirit remain clear. Will this path bring peace or confusion? Will this direction strengthen your character or slowly weaken it? These reflections are not meant to make life complicated. They help you align your decisions with the kind of future you truly desire. I want you to recognize the dignity and responsibility that come with the freedom you have been given. You are capable of shaping your life in meaningful ways when you choose carefully. The moment you are standing in now is part of that process. The weight of past decisions has brought you here, but the choices you make from this point forward will determine how the next chapters unfold. Let me speak gently but honestly to your heart about something else that matters here. When people begin to recognize the weight of their decisions, they sometimes fall into regret. They look at their past and wish they could rewrite certain chapters. I do not want you to carry that burden in a way that steals your hope. Regret can teach wisdom, but it should never imprison your spirit. The lessons you learned through past decisions are now part of the understanding you carry. That understanding is a gift if you allow it to guide your future. Instead of looking backward with frustration, allow your awareness to shape the choices you make today. Come closer and listen carefully to what I am inviting you to do. Be thoughtful with the steps you take from this moment forward. Invite wisdom into your decisions instead of rushing ahead without reflection. Ask for guidance when you feel uncertain. Pay attention to the quiet voice within your spirit that urges you to pause when something does not feel right. These simple actions will strengthen the direction of your life over time. You are not trapped by the choices you made in the past. You are standing in a moment where new decisions can begin shaping a healthier path. Walk forward with that understanding. Let your choices become expressions of the wisdom you have gained rather than reminders of mistakes you once made. When you allow your heart to grow through the lessons of your past, your future begins to unfold with greater peace and purpose. My child, I want you to pause with me for a moment and really look at where your life is right now. Do not rush past this reflection. Sit quietly for a second and let your thoughts settle. There is a reason you have been feeling a shift inside your spirit lately. You may not have been able to explain it clearly to anyone around you, yet something inside you hath been sensing that life is entering a different kind of season. The things that once felt normal to you no longer sit the same way in your heart. Conversations that once entertained you now leave you thinking more deeply. Situations that you used to tolerate without question now stir a quiet discomfort within you. That is not confusion. That is awareness beginning to grow. I want you to recognize that your life moves through seasons just as the earth moves through seasons of planting and harvest. There are periods when you gather experiences, periods when you face challenges that stretch your character, and there are also moments when understanding begins to surface like the first light breaking through the horizon. You are standing in one of those moments now. Your spirit is waking up to the meaning behind things that once seemed random. You are beginning to see connections between your past choices, your present circumstances, and the direction that is now unfolding before you. I know that realization can feel overwhelming at first. When clarity arrives, it often carries both relief and seriousness at the same time. Relief comes because things finally begin to make sense. Seriousness comes because you realize that the path ahead deserves your full attention. Come closer in your thoughts, and let me show you something important about this season you are in. What you are experiencing right now is not punishment, and it is not the closing of your story. It is a moment of awakening. Think of it like standing on a hill where you can finally see the landscape around you. When you were walking through the valleys of earlier seasons, your view was limited. You could only see what was directly in front of you. Decisions were often made based on immediate circumstances because the bigger picture remained hidden. Now your perspective is expanding. You can look behind you and notice how certain paths led exactly where they were always going to lead. You can also look ahead and begin to recognize which directions will bring peace and which ones will only create deeper confusion. This awareness is a gift if you allow it to guide you. I want you to receive it with openness instead of resisting it. Let your heart sit with the truth that is rising within you. Do not rush to escape the seriousness of this moment by distracting yourself with noise or busyness. Stay here with me and reflect on what your spirit is beginning to understand. When you embrace this season with honesty, your life starts to move with greater intention. The fog that once surrounded your decisions begins to clear. You start to notice how your values, your priorities, and your direction all begin aligning in ways that feel more authentic. That is what growth looks like. It does not always arrive with excitement and celebration. Sometimes it arrives quietly through reflection and realization. Now I want you to do something simple but powerful. Invite me into this season with you. Speak to me openly about the questions that have been forming inside your heart. Tell me what confuses you, what worries you, and what you hope the future might hold. Do not hide those thoughts from me. I already know them, and I care about every part of your journey. When you bring those thoughts into the open, your heart becomes lighter because you are no longer carrying them alone. This is also the moment when you begin to recognize how deeply I care about the direction of your life. I am not a distant voice that appears only when things go wrong. I am the Father who has been walking beside you through every season you have experienced so far. I saw the courage it took for you to keep moving forward when you felt uncertain. I saw the quiet determination that kept you from giving up during difficult days. All of that strength is still inside you, and it will help you move through this season with wisdom. Do not fear the seriousness of this moment. Welcome it. Let it teach you. Allow the understanding rising within you to become the compass that guides your next steps. When you do that, you will discover something beautiful about the path ahead. The future is not closing in around you. It is opening in a direction that is far clearer than before. My child, I want to speak with you now about something that every person eventually learns through experience. Life unfolds according to principles that cannot be ignored forever. When actions are taken, they begin shaping outcomes that appear later in ways people often do not expect. This is what many call consequences, and I want you to understand them properly because they are often misunderstood. Consequences are not punishments that I send down from a distant place to make someone suffer. They are simply the natural results that grow from the choices made along the journey. When a person plants seeds in a field, the harvest that appears later reflects the kind of seeds that were placed into the soil. Life works in a similar way. The things you say, the decisions you make, the attitudes you carry, and the direction you choose gradually shape the circumstances that follow. This is why certain moments in your life have felt heavier than others. They are the points where the harvest of earlier choices becomes visible. I want you to hear this clearly because your heart may have been wrestling with these thoughts already. The seriousness of this moment is not about condemnation. It is about understanding. When you recognize how actions and outcomes connect, you gain the wisdom needed to shape your future differently. That awareness is powerful. It gives you the ability to step out of patterns that once repeated themselves without your full understanding. Come closer in your thoughts and reflect with me for a moment. Think about situations in your past where something small eventually grew into something much larger. Perhaps a decision that seemed harmless at first slowly created complications that followed you longer than expected. Or maybe a positive decision you made years ago eventually opened a door that blessed your life in ways you did not anticipate at the time. Both of those experiences reveal the same truth. Choices create direction. Over time, that direction forms the road you end up walking. I know you have already begun to see this more clearly as you look back on certain chapters of your story. When people reach this stage of awareness, they sometimes feel discouraged because they wish they could go back and change certain things. I understand that feeling. Your heart may have already asked questions like that. Yet I want you to listen closely to what I am about to tell you. The purpose of recognizing consequences is not to trap you in regret. It is to awaken your wisdom. When you see how life truly works, you gain the ability to step forward with clarity instead of confusion. That is why this moment matters so much. You are no longer walking blindly through situations without understanding their deeper impact. Your awareness is expanding, and that awareness is the beginning of real change. Now let me invite you to respond to this moment in a way that strengthens your future instead of weakening your hope. Do not run from the truth that your life is revealing right now. Face it with courage. Sit quietly and acknowledge the lessons that have come through your experiences. When you do that, you turn those lessons into wisdom that will guide you moving forward. I also want you to release the idea that your past defines everything that lies ahead. The harvest of yesterday's choices may be visible today, But the seeds you plant from this moment forward will shape tomorrow in ways you have not yet seen. This is why your decisions still matter so deeply. You have the ability to begin planting different seeds starting right now. Invite me into your choices. Pause before important decisions and ask for guidance instead of rushing ahead out of habit or emotion. When you do that, your path begins to shift in ways that gradually bring peace and stability into your life. Consequences are real, but they are not the end of your story. They are part of the learning process that helps you grow wiser and stronger. Walk forward with that understanding. Let the awareness you now carry become the foundation for better decisions, healthier direction, and a future shaped by wisdom instead of confusion. My child, as you now understand that every seed produces a harvest, hear this as well. The seeds you sow today will reach hearts far beyond what your eyes can see. When you support this message through super thanks, by becoming a member of this channel, or by sending a gift through the PayPal link in the description, you are planting seeds in a field of souls waiting for light. I told you long ago, give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Every act of generosity becomes oil in the lamp that keeps this message burning for those who are still walking in darkness. Do not think your offering is small, for even a single seed can grow into a harvest that feeds many. This moment is not coincidence. It is an invitation I have placed before you so that my word may travel further than one voice alone can carry it. When you give with faith, I release favor, protection, and provision over the work of your hands. Now respond to what you feel stirring in your spirit. Sow your seed through super thanks, membership, with a PayPal link below, and let the harvest begin. My child, stay here with me for a moment and do something very simple. Slow your thoughts. Let the noise around you settle. I want you to become aware of what is happening inside your heart right now, because this moment you are standing in is not only about events around you. It is also about what is unfolding within you. You may have noticed that your emotions have been shifting lately. Some days you feel calm and reflective, while other moments bring a strange heaviness that you cannot easily explain. You might even find yourself thinking about things you have not thought about in a long time. Old memories may appear without warning. Conversations you once brushed aside might suddenly feel meaningful. This is not happening by accident. Your spirit is beginning to process the weight of the moment that has arrived. When a person reaches a turning point in life, the heart naturally begins sorting through everything that led to that place. You may feel a mixture of emotions moving through you all at once. There might be regret about things you wish had been different. There might also be relief because certain truths are finally becoming clear. Sometimes there is even a quiet fear about what the future might look like from here. All of those feelings can exist at the same time, and that does not mean something is wrong with you. It simply means your heart is becoming honest with itself. Come closer and listen carefully to what I want to say about these emotions. Do not push them away. Do not pretend they are not there. Allow yourself to sit with them for a moment, because they are part of the process that helps your spirit grow stronger. Many people try to escape moments like this by distracting themselves with noise, activity, or endless movement. They rush forward without reflection because it feels easier than facing what they feel inside. I want you to do the opposite. Stay here with me. Take a breath and let your thoughts become quiet enough for your heart to speak honestly. When you allow that honesty to rise within you, something important begins to happen. Clarity slowly replaces confusion. You begin to see your life with a deeper understanding than before. The things that once felt tangled start to make more sense. This is not a comfortable process at first, but it is a meaningful one. Emotional awareness is one of the ways your spirit grows wiser. When you listen to what your heart is revealing, you gain insight into the patterns that shaped your life. You start recognizing why certain decisions brought peace while others led to frustration or pain. That awareness becomes the foundation for a different kind of future. I want you to welcome that awareness instead of fearing it. Now let me invite you into something that will help your heart move forward with strength. Bring those emotions to me openly. Speak to me honestly about what you feel. Tell me about the regrets that have been weighing on your thoughts. Tell me about the worries that make you wonder what tomorrow will bring. Do not hide those things from me because I already see them. What matters is that you allow your heart to share them instead of carrying them alone. When you bring your emotions into the open, they lose the power to control your spirit in silence. I will meet you in that honesty with compassion and guidance. Remember, at this moment is not meant to trap you in the past. It is meant to help you understand your life more clearly so you can move forward with wisdom. You are not defined by the mistakes you made or the seasons that felt confusing. You are a person who is learning, growing, and discovering deeper truth through experience. Stay here with me as this understanding continues to unfold. Let your heart breathe. Let your mind rest from the pressure of trying to control everything. When you do that, you will begin to notice something surprising. The weight you felt inside your chest will start to lift little by little. Peace begins entering the space where confusion once lived. That peace does not come from ignoring your feelings. It comes from allowing them to lead you toward understanding and growth. My child, there is something I want you to understand deeply as you continue walking through this moment of reflection. Even during the seasons when you felt alone, you were never truly walking through life by yourself. There were times when your circumstances made it seem as though you had been left to face everything on your own. You may remember nights when your thoughts would not settle and your mind kept circling around the same questions. In those moments you wondered whether anyone truly understood what you were carrying inside. You might have looked around at the people in your life and felt that none of them could see the full weight of what was happening within your heart. Yet even in those quiet hours when you felt most isolated, I was closer to you than you realized. I saw the thoughts that kept you awake. I heard the questions that formed inside your mind. I watched the way you tried to remain strong even when uncertainty was pressing against your spirit. My presence was there in ways you may not have recognized at the time. Sometimes it appeared as a moment of calm when you expected to feel overwhelmed. Sometimes it showed up through a small sign of encouragement that arrived exactly when you needed it. Other times it was simply the quiet strength that allowed you to get through another day when you thought you had reached your limit. Now I want you to think carefully about the path you have walked so far. When you look back at certain moments that once felt impossible to survive, you can see that somehow you made it through them. Situations that once seemed overwhelming did not destroy you. Challenges that appeared stronger than your courage did not break your spirit completely. You kept moving forward, even if your progress felt slow at times. I want you to recognize that you did not find that strength alone. I was with you in those moments, guiding your steps in ways that often remained invisible. My presence does not always appear in dramatic ways that aren't easy to recognize immediately. Sometimes it is simply the quiet resilience that rises inside you when you think you cannot continue. Sometimes it is the gentle thought that encourages you to keep going when your mind is ready to give up. My care for you has been steady throughout your life, even during seasons when you believe you had drifted far away from my guidance. I never turned my back on you. The father does not abandon his child simply because the child takes a path that leads through difficulty. Instead, he stays close, ready to help that child find their way back toward understanding. Let me ask you to do something right now. Look honestly at the story of your life and notice how many times help arrived in ways you did not expect. There were opportunities that appeared just when you needed them. There were people who spoke words of encouragement at moments when your heart felt weak. There were quiet realizations that helped you change direction before things became worse than they needed to be. None of those moments happened outside my awareness. I was guiding those situations with care because I love you deeply. You may not have seen my hand at work when everything was unfolding, but you can begin to recognize it now as you reflect on the journey behind you. I want you to carry that awareness with you moving forward. You are not facing the future alone. My presence will continue walking beside you as you step into the next chapter of your life. Invite me into your decisions. Speak with me when your heart feels uncertain. Ask for wisdom when you stand at the edge of choices that will shape your direction. When you include me in those moments, your path becomes clearer and your spirit grows stronger. The same presence that carried you through your past will continue guiding you through what lies ahead. My child, stay with me and listen carefully, because the moment you are standing in right now is not only about understanding the past. It also carries a door within it, a quiet opening that many people overlook when they reach a turning point in their lives. When people finally begin to see their life clearly, they often focus only on the mistakes, the missed chances, or the things they wish had happened differently. I understand why the human heart tends to look there first. When awareness arrives, it shines a light on everything that has already taken place. Yet I want you to shift your attention for a moment. Instead of looking only at what is behind you, look at what is being placed in front of you right now. This moment contains an opportunity that did not exist before. You now have understanding that you did not carry earlier in your journey. The experiences you walked through have shaped a deeper awareness inside you. The awareness gives you something powerful. It gives you the ability to respond differently than you might have responded in the past. I want you to recognize how valuable that is. A person who has learned through experience carries a kind of wisdom that cannot be gained any other way. The lessons you have gathered along your path have prepared you for this exact moment. Even the seasons that felt confusing were quietly shaping the perspective you now hold. Come closer in your thoughts and reflect with me for a moment. Think about the version of yourself who existed years ago. That person was sincere and hopeful, but that version of you did not yet understand the deeper patterns that shape life. Back then, you were learning through trial and discovery. Certain choices felt right simply because they appeared promising in the moment. You were still discovering how your actions influenced the direction of your future. Today you stand in a very different place. The experiences you have lived through have opened your eyes in ways that were not possible before. You now recognize how small decisions grow into larger outcomes over time. You see how attitudes, habits, and relationships gradually shape the environment around your life. This understanding is not something to take lightly. It is the foundation for a new direction. That is why I am asking you to pause and truly see the opportunity placed before you. Do not treat this moment as a closing chapter. Instead, recognize it as the point where your story begins to change in meaningful ways. When a person becomes aware of their patterns and understands the lessons life has been teaching them, they gain the freedom to step into a different kind of future. Now let me invite you into a simple but powerful response. Take hold of the opportunity that is unfolding right now. Do not allow regret to distract you from the potential that stands before you. Your past has already given you its lessons. What matters now is how you move forward from this moment. Begin by approaching your life with intention. Look at the direction you are walking and ask yourself whether it reflects the kind of person you truly want to become. Invite me into those reflections. Speak with me about your hopes and the direction you want your life to take from here. When you bring your heart into alignment with wisdom, your decisions begin to carry greater clarity. The future you are building will not look exactly like the past you walked through. It will reflect the understanding you have gained. I want you to embrace that truth with courage. The opportunity hidden inside this moment is the chance to move forward with awareness instead of confusion. That opportunity is already in your hands. All you need to do is recognize it and begin walking in the direction that wisdom now reveals to you. My child, now that you are beginning to understand the opportunity within this moment, I want you to take another step with me. This next step requires courage, but it will bring a deeper kind of freedom to your heart. I want you to look honestly at the path you have walked so far. Do not rush through this reflection, and do not hide from it either. Sit quietly and allow your mind to revisit the journey that brought you here. You will see many different scenes when you do this. Some of them will bring gratitude because they remind you of times when things went well. Other memories may carry a heavier feeling because they remind you of choices that led to disappointment or confusion. Both kinds of memories belong to your story. I do not want you to avoid either of them. When a person becomes willing to see their life clearly, without excuses and without harsh self-judgment, something important begins to change inside them. Honesty becomes the foundation for growth. Many people struggle with this step because they fear what they might see when they look closely at their past. They worry that acknowledging their mistakes will make them feel smaller or weaker. In truth, the opposite is often what happens. When you look honestly at your path, you begin to understand your life with greater clarity. The lessons hidden within your experiences become visible, and those lessons have the power to guide your future decisions. Come closer and listen carefully to what I am inviting you to do. I am not asking you to judge yourself harshly or to carry shame about the things that did not go the way you hoped. I am asking you to see your life with honesty and humility. When you look back at certain choices, allow yourself to recognize what they taught you. Perhaps there were moments when impatience led you to move too quickly. Maybe there were times when you trusted the wrong voices because you were searching for direction. There may even have been seasons when you ignored the quiet guidance that tried to warn you about where a certain path might lead. All of those experiences have become part of the wisdom you now carry. They are not meant to trap you in regret. They exist so that you can move forward with greater understanding than before. This is why honest reflection matters. When you see your life clearly, you also begin to see how much you have grown. The person you are today understands things that your earlier self could not yet recognize. That growth deserves acknowledgement. Instead of condemning yourself for past mistakes, allow those experiences to become reminders of how far you have come. Now I want you to do something that will strengthen your heart as you continue moving forward. Accept your story without hiding from it. The path you walked has shaped the person you are becoming. Some chapters were joyful, and others were painful, but each one contributed to the wisdom you now carry. I am inviting you to bring those chapters into the open instead of pretending they never happened. When you accept your story honestly, you release the burden of trying to appear perfect. Your heart becomes lighter because you no longer need to carry the weight of denial or self-judgment. Invite me into this reflection with you. Talk with me about the moments that still feel difficult to understand. Ask for clarity where your memories still carry confusion. I will meet you there with compassion and guidance. When you walk through this process with me, you will discover something surprising. The same story that once felt heavy will begin to feel like a source of strength. Your experiences will become reminders of how resilience grows through struggle and how wisdom develops through reflection. That transformation is the reason this moment matters so deeply. You are learning to see your life clearly, and that clarity will guide the path you choose from this point forward. My child, I want you to sit with me for a moment and feel the honesty of what I am about to say to you. As you have been looking back at the path behind you, something has probably become clear inside your heart. You have been carrying more weight than you were ever meant to carry alone. Some of that weight came from your own decisions, and some of it came from the actions of others. There were words spoken to you that cut deeper than anyone realized. There were situations that left marks on your heart long after the moment had passed. Over time, those experiences gathered quietly inside you, forming burdens that your spirit tried to manage without help. You kept moving forward because you believed that strength meant holding everything together on your own. Yet I saw the exhaustion that grew beneath the surface. I watched how certain memories returned to your thoughts when you were alone. I noticed the way you sometimes questioned your worth because of the things that had gone wrong in your past. My child, listen carefully now. You were never meant to carry those burdens forever. Some of the weight you have been holding does not belong to you at all. It belongs to moments that are already finished and to people who may never fully understand what their actions did to your heart. Holding on to those burdens will not change what happened. It only keeps your spirit tied to pain that no longer has a place in your future. Come closer, and let me speak to you gently about something that can begin freeing your heart from that weight. I want you to begin releasing what you have been holding. That does not mean pretending the past never happened. It means refusing to let those experiences define the rest of your life. Many people believe that letting go means forgetting, but that is not the truth. Letting go means choosing not to let the past continue controlling the direction of your heart. It means recognizing that the lessons you learned are valuable, but the pain attached to them does not have to remain inside you forever. I want you to take a quiet moment and bring those heavy memories into the open. Think about the situations that still stir regret or sadness when they come to mind. Now speak honestly about them. Admit what hurt you. Admit what disappointed you. Admit the moments when you felt misunderstood or abandoned. Do not hide those feelings from me because I already know them. When you bring them into the open, you begin loosening the grip they have held over your spirit. Healing begins when truth is acknowledged instead of buried beneath silence. This is not weakness. This is courage. A strong heart is not the one that pretends nothing ever hurt it. A strong heart is the one willing to face its wounds so they can finally heal. Now I want you to do something that will help your spirit breathe again. Begin placing those burdens into my hands. Imagine yourself setting down the weight you have been carrying for so long. Release the guilt that tells you every mistake in your past defines who you are. Release the anger that formed because someone treated you unfairly. Release the disappointment that grew from plans that did not unfold the way you hoped they would. These things have been sitting on your shoulders like stones, quietly draining your strength day after day. You do not have to carry them anymore. Give them to me. Allow my presence to hold what your heart has been trying to manage alone. As you do this, something powerful begins to happen inside you. The space that once held regret and bitterness begins to open. That space can now be filled with understanding, wisdom, and peace. This is not something that happens instantly, but it begins the moment you decide to release what you were never meant to carry forever. Stay with me in this process. Let your heart rest in the truth that you are not defined by your worst moments. You are a person who has walked through experiences, learned from them, and now stands ready to move forward with a lighter spirit. My child, as you begin releasing the burdens that once weighed heavily on your heart, I want you to notice something that may have been hidden from your view for a long time. The experiences you have lived through have been shaping a strength inside you that you may not have fully recognized yet. When you were moving through the most difficult seasons of your life, it probably did not feel like you were becoming stronger. Those days often felt confusing and exhausting. There were moments when you questioned whether you would have the energy to continue moving forward. Yet you kept going. Even when your confidence felt fragile, you continued taking the next step. I saw that perseverance in you. I saw the way you pushed yourself to stand again after disappointment knocked you down. I saw the quiet courage it took for you to face another day when your heart still carried unanswered questions. All of those moments were shaping your character in ways that could not have been created through comfort alone. Strength does not appear suddenly without reason. It develops slowly as a person learns to endure challenges while holding on to hope. The resilience that now lives inside you was built through the very experiences that once made you wonder whether you would make it through. Come closer in your thoughts and reflect on how far you have come. Think about the situations that once felt overwhelming. At the time, you may have believed they would define the rest of your life. Yet here you are, still standing, still learning, still searching for truth and direction. That alone reveals something important about your spirit. You have a capacity for endurance that you may have underestimated. You discovered how to adapt when life did not unfold according to your plans. You learned how to continue moving forward even when the path ahead looked uncertain. These qualities are not small things. They are signs of strength that developed quietly inside you through experience. I want you to recognize that strength instead of overlooking it. Many people focus so heavily on what went wrong in their lives that they forget to see what they gained through the process of overcoming those moments. Your journey had not only taught you lessons, it has also revealed the depth of your resilience. The courage you used to navigate difficult seasons is still part of who you are today. Now let me invite you to carry that strength forward into the next chapter of your life. Do not underestimate what you have become through the experiences you walked through. The wisdom you gained and the endurance you developed are tools that will help you make wiser decisions moving forward. When challenges appear in the future, you will not face them as the same person you were years ago. You will face them as someone who understands life more deeply. That understanding will guide your choices and steady your heart when uncertainty appears. I want you to trust that growth has been happening within you, even during seasons when you felt lost. The strength you carry now is not something temporary. It is part of the person you are becoming. Walk forward with that awareness. Allow it to shape the confidence you bring into your future. And remember this truth as you continue moving ahead with me. The very experiences that once felt like obstacles have become the foundation of the strength that now lives within your spirit. My child, now that you have begun releasing the burdens that once weighed heavily on your heart and recognizing the strength that quietly formed inside you through your journey, I want you to look forward with me. Do not rush past this part of our conversation. Stay here for a moment and allow your thoughts to open toward what lies ahead. There is a reason I have been guiding you through this reflection step by step. Understanding your past was never the final destination. It was preparation. The clarity that is forming inside your heart right now is meant to help you recognize the direction I am offering you. Life often feels confusing when a person moves through it without pausing to understand where they are going. Many people walk through years reacting to situations rather than intentionally choosing the path they want their life to follow. I do not want that kind of uncertainty to shape your future. I want you to walk with awareness, knowing that your steps matter and that the direction you choose today will shape the experiences you live tomorrow. Come closer in your thoughts and listen carefully to the invitation I am placing before you. I am not forcing you onto a path you cannot understand. I am guiding you toward a direction that leads to peace, wisdom, and purpose. Look closely at the moment you are standing in now. You have gained awareness about your past. You have begun releasing the burdens that once clouded your thinking. You are recognizing the strength that developed inside you through every challenge you faced. All of those realizations are clearing the space for something new to grow in your life. When the mind becomes clearer and the heart becomes lighter, a person begins to see possibilities that once felt hidden. This is the point where direction begins to reveal itself. I want you to notice how your desires have been changing recently. Some things that once felt important may no longer carry the same appeal. At the same time, new interests or deeper values may be rising quietly within you. That shift is not random. It is part of the way your spirit is guiding you toward a healthier path. The direction I offer you is not built on pressure or fear. It is built on wisdom and alignment with the person you are becoming. When you follow that direction, your life begins to feel more grounded. Decisions become clear because they reflect the lessons you have already learned. Relationships become healthier because you approach them with understanding instead of desperation. Your priorities begin to align with what truly matters rather than with temporary distractions. Now I want you to take a simple but meaningful step. Invite me into the direction you choose from this moment forward. Do not rush ahead simply because you feel pressured to decide quickly. Pause. Reflect. Ask yourself what kind of life you truly want to build from here. Look at the values forming inside your heart and let them guide your choices. When you do this, your path begins to align with wisdom rather than impulse. I will walk with you as you take those steps. Speak with me about your hopes and your concerns. Ask for clarity when something feels uncertain. You do not have to navigate the future alone. My guidance will remain available to you whenever you choose to listen. The direction I am offering you is not a narrow road filled with restrictions. It is a path where your life begins to reflect the best version of who you can become. Walk toward that path with confidence. Let the awareness you have gained become the compass that guides your decisions. When you follow that direction with intention, you will begin to notice something remarkable. The confusion that once surrounded your life will gradually give way to a sense of purpose that feels steady and real. My child, if your heart senses the direction I am guiding you toward, understand that part of that path is helping my light reach others who are still searching in the darkness. When you support this message through super thanks, by joining as a member, or through the PayPal link waiting in the description, you become part of a river that carries my word into places your feet may never walk. I have spoken in my word. Those who sow in righteousness will reap a harvest of mercy. Your generosity becomes like oil poured into a lamp, keeping the flame alive so that another wandering soul can find the path home. Do not ignore the quiet nudge you feel right now. It is my spirit inviting you to take part in something greater than yourself. This is not merely support for a video. It is seed placed into a field where lives are being awakened. And as you sow into this mission, I will multiply what you place in my hands and establish peace over your path. Therefore act with faith, support through super thanks, become a member, or sow through the PayPal link in the description now. My child, as you continue moving forward into the direction that is unfolding before you, there is something I want you to understand about the kind of strength that will carry you through this season. The awareness you have gained, the lessons you have learned, and the wisdom now guiding your choices are all valuable. Yet there is another element that will help you walk through the future with a steady heart. That element is faith. Many people misunderstand what faith truly means. They imagine it as blind optimism or as a belief that everything will always unfold easily. Real faith is something much deeper and more grounded than that. Faith is the quiet trust that you are not alone as you walk through life. It is the understanding that even when circumstances feel uncertain, there is guidance available to help you navigate those moments with clarity. I want you to recognize how important this trust will be as you move forward from here. You will not always see every step of the path before you. Some days will still carry questions. Situations will arise that require patience and courage. In those moments, faith becomes the strength that steadies your heart and reminds you that uncertainty does not mean abandonment. Come closer and reflect with me on how faith has already appeared in your life. even if you did not always recognize it at the time. Think about the moments when you kept moving forward even though you did not know how everything would turn out. There were times when your plans changed suddenly and you had to adapt without knowing exactly where the new direction would lead. Yet you continued walking. Something inside you believed that progress was still possible even when the outcome was unclear. That quiet persistence was an expression of faith, even if you did not call it by that name. Faith grows through experience. Each time you face uncertainty and discover that you are still able to move forward, your trust becomes stronger. This kind of trust does not remove challenges from your life. Instead, it gives you the courage to meet those challenges without losing hope. I want you to recognize that you have already been developing this strength through the journey you have lived so far. The resilience you carry today is connected to the moments when you chose to continue believing that your life still held meaning, even during seasons when the future looked unclear. Now let me invite you to embrace faith more intentionally as you move through this season. Do not treat it as something abstract or distant. Let it become a practical part of how you approach each day. When uncertainty appears, pause and remind yourself that guidance is available. Speak with me openly about the questions forming in your mind. Ask for wisdom when you feel unsure about a decision. Trust that clarity will arrive step by step as you continue moving forward with honesty and reflection. Faith is not about knowing everything in advance. It is about trusting that you will not face the future alone. This trust allows your heart to remain steady even when circumstances shift around you. As you continue walking through this season with awareness and intention, faith will help you maintain balance. It will remind you that your life is still unfolding and that the direction you are choosing today can lead to experiences that are richer and more meaningful than the ones you left behind. Walk forward with enthusiasm. Allow it to strengthen your spirit and guide your steps as you continue building the future that is now opening before you. My child, stay with me for a moment and let your thoughts slow down again. You have walked a long road to arrive where you are now, and I do not want you to rush past the understanding that is still forming inside you. Many people move through life, collecting experiences without truly absorbing what those experiences were meant to teach them. They hurry from one season into the next, carrying the same patterns with them because they never paused long enough to examine what those moments revealed. I do not want that to be your story. The reason I have been guiding your attention back through the path behind you is not to trap you in memories or to keep your mind anchored in the past. I want you to learn from what has already happened so that the wisdom growing inside you becomes part of how you move forward. Think of your life as a long conversation between your choices and the lessons that follow them. Every decision you made spoke into the direction of your journey. Every experience that followed responded with something to teach you. Some of those lessons arrived gently, like quiet realizations that helped you adjust your path without much struggle. Others came through challenges that forced you to rethink the direction you were taking. Both kinds of lessons carry value. They shape the way your understanding grows over time. When you pause and reflect on those moments, you begin to see how each part of your journey contributed to the person you are becoming. Come closer and let your mind walk through those experiences with honesty. Look at the times when things worked out well and ask yourself what choices helped create those outcomes. Notice the attitudes you carried during those seasons. Pay attention to the way you approached opportunities or relationships when things felt balanced and healthy. Those moments contain wisdom that can guide your future decisions. Now look at the other side of the story as well. Think about the situations that created frustration or disappointment. Instead of pushing those memories away, examine them calmly. Ask what those moments revealed about your habits, your expectations, or the voices you chose to listen to at the time. This reflection is not about blame. It is about understanding patterns that shape your life. When you recognize those patterns, you gain the ability to change them. I want you to approach this reflection with curiosity rather than criticism. Imagine yourself standing beside your past experiences like an observer who is learning from them. The perspective you gain from this process becomes one of the most valuable tools you can carry into your future. It helps you make decisions that align with wisdom rather than impulse. It also helps you recognize early signs when something is leading you in a direction that will not bring peace. Now I want you to do something meaningful with the lessons you are discovering. Do not let them remain as ideas that sit quietly in the back of your mind. Bring them into your daily awareness. When you face a decision, pause and remember what your past experiences taught you. Ask yourself how the understanding you gained can guide your next step. Invite me into that reflection. Speak with me openly about the situations you are navigating and the lessons you are trying to apply. I will help you see things from a perspective that keeps your heart grounded and your mind clear. Learning from what has already happened is one of the ways your life begins to move with purpose rather than repetition. The past no longer becomes something you escape from. Instead, it becomes a source of wisdom that supports your future. Walk forward with that awareness. Let your experiences become teachers rather than burdens. When you approach your life this way, every season you have lived through gains meaning, and every lesson becomes part of the foundation that supports the direction you are choosing now. My child, now that you have begun learning from your experiences and recognizing the wisdom they contain, I want to guide your attention towards something even deeper. Real change does not begin with circumstances around you. It begins inside you. Many people spend years trying to rearrange the external parts of their lives, believing that a new job, a new environment, or new relationships will automatically create the transformation they are searching for. While those things can influence your path, they do not create lasting change by themselves. The most meaningful transformation begins when your inner perspective shifts. When your thoughts, values, and intentions begin aligning with the lessons you have learned, the direction of your life naturally follows. This is why I have been speaking to your heart rather than focusing only on the events around you. The clarity forming inside your spirit is more powerful than any temporary circumstance. When your inner understanding changes, your choices begin to reflect that understanding. Your actions follow the direction of your thoughts, and over time your life begins to reflect the growth that has taken place within you. Come closer and reflect with me on what has already been changing inside your heart. You may have noticed that your reactions to certain situations are no longer the same as they once were. Things that once triggered frustration may now cause you to pause and think more carefully. Situations that used to pull you into confusion may now reveal themselves more clearly before they grow into larger problems. This shift is a sign that your perspective is evolving. Your spirit is learning to respond with awareness rather than reacting automatically out of habit. I want you to welcome that change instead of questioning it. Growth often feels unfamiliar at first because it leads you away from patterns that once felt normal. When your inner world begins to transform, your outer life will gradually follow. The way you communicate with others will change because your intentions are becoming clearer. The choices you make about where to invest your time and energy will reflect the priorities forming within your heart. Even the goals you set for your future may begin to look different because you are now guided by deeper understanding rather than temporary desires. Now let me invite you to nurture this inner transformation intentionally. Do not ignore the changes happening within you. Pay attention to them. Spend time reflecting on the values that now feel important to your heart. Ask yourself how those values can shape the way you approach your daily life. Invite me into that process. Speak with me about the direction you want your life to move and the kind of person you want to become. I will help you strengthen the clarity that is already forming inside you. Real change takes time, and it grows through consistent attention to the way you think, choose, and respond to the world around you. Walk forward with patience as this transformation continues. Allow your inner growth to guide your external decisions. When you build your life from the inside outward, the changes you experience will not be temporary adjustments. They will become lasting foundations that support the future you are creating. Stay connected to this process, my child, because the transformation beginning inside you is preparing the ground for everything that will unfold in the chapters ahead. My child, stay with me and listen closely, because this part of our conversation matters deeply for your heart. As you have been reflecting on your past, releasing the burdens you carried, and recognizing the changes beginning inside you, there is something important I want you to understand about the road ahead. Your story is not finished. The moment you are standing in right now might feel heavy because it carries clarity and truth, but it does not represent the end of what your life can become. Many people reach a moment of realization and mistakenly believe that the direction of their life has already been decided forever. They look behind them and see mistakes, missed opportunities, or seasons that felt confusing, and they quietly assume that the future will simply continue repeating what has already happened. I do not want you to believe that. Your life is still unfolding. The chapters that come next are not locked in place by the decisions you made years ago. What you choose from this moment forward will influence what your future becomes. Think of your life as a book that is still being written. The pages behind you contain experiences that shape your understanding, but the pages ahead remain open. They are waiting for the choices you make now. The lessons you learned have prepared you to write those next chapters with far greater wisdom than before. Come closer in your thoughts and imagine the path ahead of you. Do not picture it as a narrow road where every step has already been determined. Instead, see it as a wide landscape where many directions exist. Some of those directions will bring peace, growth, and deeper purpose. Others may lead toward confusion if chosen without awareness. The understanding you now carry is the compass that helps you recognize the difference between those paths. When you approach your future with that awareness, you gain the ability to shape your life intentionally rather than drifting through circumstances without direction. I want you to embrace that responsibility with courage. Do not allow fear or regret to convince you that it is too late for meaningful change. The fact that you are reflecting on your life right now shows that your spirit is ready to grow. That readiness is powerful. It means you are no longer walking through life without understanding the influence your choices carry. You now have the clarity to choose directions that align with the person you are becoming. This awareness is not a burden. It is a gift that allows you to move forward with intention. Now I want you to take a simple step that will help your future unfold in a healthier way. Begin imagining the kind of life you want to build from this point forward. Do not limit that vision based on past disappointments. Instead, let your understanding guide what you believe is possible. Ask yourself what kind of person you want to become through the choices you make every day. Consider the qualities you want your life to reflect: wisdom, patience, kindness, courage, and integrity. When those qualities become the foundation of your decisions, the direction of your life begins to shift naturally. Invite me into that vision for your future. Speak with me about the hopes that are forming in your heart and the changes you want to see in your life. I will walk beside you as those hopes grow into real actions. Remember this truth as you continue forward. The future is not a fixed destination waiting for you at the end of the road. It is something that develops step by step through the decisions you make today. Your story is still being written, my child, and the understanding you carry now will help shape the chapters that come next. My child, after everything we have spoken about, the lessons of your past, the burdens you have begun releasing, the direction that is unfolding before you, I want to speak to you about something that many people search for their entire lives. That is peace. Not the temporary calm that appears when circumstances are comfortable, but the deeper peace that remains steady even when life becomes uncertain. You have probably experienced moments when your mind felt restless because too many questions were pressing against your thoughts. There were days when you wondered how certain situations would unfold or whether the future would bring the stability you hoped for. Those concerns are natural for the human heart. When people care about their lives and their direction, they often feel pressure to control outcomes they cannot fully see yet. Yet the peace I want you to know does not come from controlling every detail of the future. It comes from trusting that you are not walking through life alone. When you understand that guidance and wisdom are available to you, the need to carry every uncertainty by yourself begins to fade. That realization allows your heart to rest in a deeper sense of stability. Come closer and reflect with me on the way your mind responds to uncertainty. When something unexpected happens, your thoughts may immediately begin searching for answers. You try to imagine every possible outcome because you want to be prepared for what might come next. While planning can be helpful, it can also create unnecessary stress when your mind tries to control things that are still unfolding. I want you to practice a different response. When uncertainty appears, pause instead of rushing into worry. Take a quiet breath and remind yourself that your life is not unfolding without direction. You are learning, growing, and making choices with greater awareness than before. That awareness itself brings stability to your path. Invite me into those moments of uncertainty. Speak with me about the concerns forming in your mind. When you do that, you shift your perspective from carrying everything alone to walking forward with guidance. This simple change in approach can transform the way your heart experiences difficult moments. Now let me invite you into a way of living that nurtures this deeper peace. Begin each day with a moment of reflection. Allow your mind to become quiet enough to notice what your heart is carrying. If worries are present, acknowledge them honestly and place them into my hands. Do not hold them tightly as if you must solve every question immediately. Instead, allow trust to guide your thoughts. Focus on the decisions you can make today rather than trying to control every outcome that lies ahead. When you live this way, your heart becomes steadier. The future no longer feels like a storm waiting to arrive. Instead, it becomes a path you walk step by step with clarity and patience. This is the peace I want you to know. It is not dependent on perfect circumstances. It grows from the understanding that your life is unfolding with purpose and that you are never alone as you continue walking forward. Stay close to that truth, my child, and let it settle deeply within your spirit. My child, before you step into what comes next, I want you to pause and look honestly at yourself. Not with the eyes that focus only on what went wrong, but with the eyes of understanding that can see how far you have come. Many times during your journey you believe you were barely holding things together. You felt weak when the pressure of life increased. There were moments when you wondered whether you would have the strength to keep moving forward another day. I saw every one of those moments. I saw the nights when your thoughts felt heavy and your heart carried questions that no one else seemed to understand. Yet even in those seasons, you did something important. You kept walking. You did not always walk confidently. Sometimes you moved slowly, sometimes reluctantly, but you continued moving forward. That quiet persistence formed a strength inside you that cannot easily be taken away. Strength does not always appear in dramatic ways. It often grows silently while a person continues living through circumstances that once felt overwhelming. When you look back now, you can see that the things you feared might destroy you did not have the final word over your life. You survived moments that once felt unbearable. You adapted to changes that once seemed impossible to handle. Each time you faced those situations and continued forward, something inside your character became stronger. That strength is now part of who you are. Come closer in your thoughts and let your mind revisit some of those seasons. Remember the situations that forced you to grow in ways you did not expect. There were responsibilities you carried when you felt unprepared. There were disappointments that required patience you did not think you possessed. At times you stood in places where the future looked uncertain and you had to rely on courage rather than certainty. All of those moments shaped the resilience you now carry. I want you to recognize that resilience instead of overlooking it. Many people underestimate the growth that has already taken place inside them because they focus only on the parts of life that did not unfold as they hoped. You are more capable today than you were in the earlier chapters of your life. The experiences you lived through refined your understanding. They strengthened your ability to endure challenges without losing your sense of direction completely. That is not something small. It is evidence that your spirit has been learning how to stand firmly even when the ground beneath your feet felt unstable. Now I want you to carry this awareness with you as you move forward. Do not speak to yourself as if you are still the same person who once faced those earlier struggles without experience. You have grown since then. The wisdom you gained and the endurance you developed are tools that will help you navigate whatever lies ahead. When new challenges appear, remember the strength that already lives inside you. You have walked through storms before, and each one left you with deeper understanding than you had when you first entered it. Invite that awareness into the way you see yourself now. When doubt begins whispering that you are not ready for what comes next, pause and remind yourself of the truth. The strength you need for the next step has already been forming through the journey you have lived. Continue walking forward with confidence in that growth. I will remain beside you as you take each step, guiding your decisions and strengthening your spirit as your story continues unfolding. My child, after everything we have spoken about together, the lessons of your past, the burdens you have begun releasing, the strength that has formed inside you, I want to speak plainly about what I am asking of you now. This moment is not simply about reflection. It is also about response. When understanding arrives in a person's life, it creates an opportunity for change. Yet that opportunity only becomes meaningful when the person chooses to act on the clarity they have received. I am inviting you to respond to this moment with intention. Do not let the awareness you have gained fade into the background of your daily routines. Let it guide the way you approach your life from this point forward. Begin by paying attention to the decisions you make each day. The direction of your life will not change through one dramatic action alone. It will change through the accumulation of small choices that align with the understanding now growing inside you. Each time you choose patience instead of impulsiveness, honesty instead of avoidance, wisdom instead of habit, you strengthen the path you are building for your future. These decisions may appear simple, but they carry powerful influence over time. Come closer and consider how your daily actions shape the atmosphere of your life. The way you speak to others, the priorities you set for your time, and the values you choose to follow all contribute to the environment that surrounds your journey. I want you to become intentional about those things. When you wake each day, take a moment to reflect on the direction you want your life to move. Invite me into your thoughts and ask for guidance as you face the situations that will unfold during the day. This practice will help your heart remain grounded even when circumstances become unpredictable. You will begin approaching your decisions with awareness instead of reacting automatically to whatever appears in front of you. Over time, this intentional approach transforms the way your life develops. The patterns that once led you into confusion begin to lose their influence because you are choosing differently. You are building a life shaped by reflection, understanding, and purpose. Now listen carefully to the invitation I am placing before you. Stay present with the growth that is happening in your life. Do not rush ahead without continuing to listen to the wisdom forming inside your spirit. Positivevibes. Reflect on your choices. Invite guidance before you move forward when you face decisions that matter. These simple actions will keep your heart aligned with the direction you are discovering now. I am not asking you to be perfect. I am asking you to remain aware and willing to grow. When you live with that mindset, your life becomes a journey of steady progress rather than a cycle of repeating the same mistakes. Walk forward with that commitment. Let your understanding shape your choices. Allow your actions to reflect the clarity that has begun forming inside you. When you do this, the future you build will carry the strength, wisdom, and purpose that your journey had been preparing you for all along. My child, we have walked through many thoughts together during this time. You have looked back at the path that brought you here. You have faced the memories that once felt heavy on your heart. You have begun releasing burdens that were never meant to define your life forever. You have recognized the strength that quietly formed inside you through every season you survived. And now we arrive at the place where everything we have spoken about comes together. This moment is not only about reflection. It is about the choice that now stands before you. Life moves forward whether a person chooses intentionally or simply allows circumstances to decide for them. I do not want your future to unfold by accident. I want it to grow from the understanding you have gained. That is why I am speaking so clearly to your heart right now. You are standing at a point where your next steps carry meaning. The lessons you have gathered are now tools in your hands. The direction you take from here will determine how those tools are used. Some people reach a moment like this and then return to the patterns they already know because they are familiar. Familiar paths can feel safe even when they lead toward the same struggles that appeared before. Yet you now have the awareness to recognize those patterns. You can see where they lead. That awareness places a choice in front of you. You can continue repeating what you already know, or you can move forward with the wisdom that has been forming inside your spirit. Come closer in your thoughts and listen carefully to what I am inviting you to do. Do not rush past this moment as if it were just another day. Pause and recognize that your life has reached a meaningful intersection. Look at the understanding you now carry and allow it to guide your next step. When you choose to move forward with wisdom, your path begins to shift in ways that gradually reshape the direction of your life. This change does not happen through one dramatic decision alone. It happens through the steady commitment to live differently from this point forward. Choose patience when situations tempt you to react impulsively. Choose honesty when it would be easier to hide from difficult truths. Choose reflection instead of rushing into choices that deserve careful thought. These decisions may appear small in the moment, but over time they create a foundation that supports a healthier and more purposeful life. I want you to see how powerful this choice truly is. Your future is not determined by what happened years ago. It is shaped by the way you respond to the understanding you hold today. When you allow wisdom to guide your actions, your life begins moving in a direction that feels more stable and meaningful. Now I want you to take a quiet moment and imagine yourself stepping forward from this point with intention. Picture the kind of person you want to become through the choices you make each day. See yourself responding to challenges with calm rather than frustration. See yourself building relationships that are based on respect, understanding, and honesty. See yourself making decisions that reflect the lessons you have learned instead of repeating habits that once led to confusion. This vision is not unrealistic. It is the natural result of living with awareness and purpose. Invite me into that journey with you. Speak with me when you face questions or uncertainty. Ask for guidance when the next step is not immediately clear. I will walk beside you as you continue writing the chapters of your life. Remember this truth as you leave this moment of reflection. The life ahead of you is still unfolding, and the understanding you carry today has the power to shape it in ways that are wiser and stronger than before. Step forward with that awareness, my child. Let your choices reflect the growth that has taken place within you, and trust that the path you are building will lead toward a future filled with deeper peace, purpose, and strength. My child, you have reached the place where understanding becomes action, and the choice before you is not only about your life, it is about the lives your obedience can touch. If this message has stirred your heart, then hear my invitation clearly. Help this light reach the ones who are still wandering through the night. When you give through Super Thanks, join this mission as a member, or send a gift through the PayPal link in the description, you are placing a seed into soil where my word will grow and multiply. I have declared, as long as the earth remains, seedtime and harvest will not cease. Every offering becomes a spark of fire that spreads my truth to those who are waiting for the moment that will awaken them. This is not a random opportunity. It is a divine appointment placed before you at the very moment your heart is ready to respond. When you honor this call, I release favor over your steps and provision over your house. So do not delay. Sow your seed now through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link below, and take your place in the harvest I am gathering. And once you have responded, let your heart become still for a moment. What you have released in faith has already begun to move beyond what you can see. Now I turn your attention inward, because even as you step into purpose, I have not lost sight of what surrounds you. This is where action meets awareness, where your spirit begins to discern what is truly happening around you. So pause here, because what you are sensing in your life is not random. It is something deeper unfolding. I am speaking to you right now, right in the middle of your messy, loud, and chaotic life. You hear the noise of the world screaming at you every single day. I see the deep fear of the future gripping your mind when you watch the news. I watch as the heavy pressure at your job drains your energy, leaving you exhausted before the day even ends. I know the unspoken tensions in your family that keep you awake, staring at the ceiling in the dark. It feels like the heavy, thick silence right before a massive storm breaks. You feel that tight knot in your stomach, that constant hum of anxiety making your chest feel tight. That isn't from me. Let us undo it together, right now. Pause for a moment. Take a deep, slow breath, just like you are stepping out of a suffocating room into the fresh, crisp air. I'm here. Listen to my still, small voice rising above the deafening chaos of this world. I am calling your name in this midnight hour. You need to look around and recognize the spiritual magnitude of the present hour. The moment I warned you about is finally here. I told you these days would come. I wrote it down in my word long ago, and now you are witnessing the precise fulfillment of the signs I spoke of. You see the world spinning out of control, the old foundations shaking, and the systems of men failing. I know it looks terrifying to your human eyes, but I do not want you to panic. I want you to understand that everything is happening exactly as I said it would. You are not living in a forgotten time. You are standing on the very edge of history. Look closely at the events unfolding around you. They are not random accidents. They are the clear, undeniable alarm bells ringing in the spirit. I am showing you these things so you can be ready, not fearful. Wake up, my beloved child. I command you to open your spiritual eyes and awaken from your long, heavy slumber. You have been sleeping in the comfort of a world that is quickly passing away. You have allowed the distractions of everyday life, the endless scrolling on your phone, and the empty entertainment to dull your senses. I am shaking you awake with a father's desperate love. Stand up and take a posture of full alertness. The time for hitting the snooze button on your spiritual life is over. I am inviting you to stand guard, to be vigilant, and to pay close attention to what I am doing in the earth right now. You cannot afford to sleepwalk through this defining moment. I need you awake. I need you focused on me. You might be wondering why all of this is happening now. You ask me in your quiet, desperate prayers why I am allowing such global and personal turmoil. I want you to understand that my timing is deliberate, perfect, and never delayed. I do not run late. I do not rush. I have orchestrated this very moment from the beginning of time. I chose you to be alive right now, in this specific generation, for a very specific reason. You were built for this exact hour. I equipped you with everything you need to survive and thrive in this difficult season. I am not surprised by the terrifying headlines, and I am not scrambling to fix a broken plan. My plan is unfolding with absolute precision. Trust my clock. Trust my strong hand. I am holding the entire universe together, and I am holding your life securely in my grip. Step out of the shadows and into the light of my truth without an ounce of fear. I command you to leave behind the hiding places where you retreat when you are overwhelmed. I see how you shrink back when the world gets too loud. I see you feeling overlooked and insignificant, wondering if your small life even matters in the grand scheme of things. I declare to you today that your life matters more than you can possibly comprehend. I have given you a light that the darkness cannot put out. Bring your doubts, your hidden fears, and your silent shame out into my healing light. I will not condemn you. I will cleanse you. Walk boldly forward. I am walking right beside you, matching your every stride. You are entirely safe with me. Come to me now, and let us face this critical hour together. I am speaking to you about the ancient words I gave to humanity long before you took your first breath. I gave you a clear map. I left you my warnings and promises through the prophets of old. You read these scriptures and sometimes you think they are just old stories, disconnected from your modern life. But I want you to look closely at the world right now. I want you to see how the daily news you watch with such anxiety perfectly matches the ancient text I breathe into existence. I wrote the script of human history, and I am the one who holds the pen. You feel a deep panic when you see nations fighting, economies crumbling, and sickness spreading across the globe. You wonder if everything is falling apart. But I told you these exact things must happen. I declared the end of the story from the very beginning. I did this so you would not be blind to the truth. I did this so you would trust me completely when the ground beneath your feet feels shaky and unsure. I invite you today to dust off the pages of your Bible. I command you to read my words with fresh, open eyes. You will see clearly that everything happening in your world today was already spoken of. I do not break my promises. I never change my mind or alter my plans to fit the culture. My covenants with you are like a solid, immovable rock under your feet. When you feel like your personal world is spinning out of control, when your bills pile up, when your health fails, when your relationships feel broken, I want you to anchor yourself deeply in what I have already said. I gave you these loving warnings because I care for you deeply. I do not want you to be caught off guard by the darkness. I want you to rest in the absolute, unshakable comfort that I know exactly what is coming tomorrow. I hold your entire tomorrow securely in my hands. Look back at the shadows and stories of the Old Testament. You see my fierce faithfulness there. You see how I rescued my people when they were backed against the sea, with no way out. I am the exact same God today. I will rescue you from your impossible situations. I will protect you when the enemy surrounds you. I am validating every single line of scripture right in front of your eyes through the unfolding global events. I command you to stop doubting my goodness. I invite you to stand firm on the unchanging, absolute truth of my word. You do not need to figure out the future all by yourself. You only need to deeply trust the one who holds it. I am your absolute certainty in a very uncertain, fearful world. I will never leave you without a guide, and I will never let you walk in darkness. Trust my ancient promises, for they are perfectly alive today. I am shaking the earth right now, and I know you can feel it. I am removing the things that can be shaken so that only the unshakable remains. You see human systems failing everywhere you look. You see the job market shifting, banks struggling, and governments making promises they simply cannot keep. I see the heavy worry in your eyes when you look at your bank account. I hear the silent questions in your mind about your retirement, your savings, and how you will provide for your family in the years to come. I am exposing the profound fragility of worldly wealth, power, and status. I am showing you that these things are made of sand. They will not hold you up when the heavy floods come. I am allowing this massive collapse of man-made securities to happen for a reason. I am doing it to get your attention, to pull your eyes away from the temporary and fix them heavily on the eternal. I urgently call you to build your house solely upon the rock of my word. I command you to stop putting your deepest trust in your paycheck, your career title, or the approval of other people. Those things can be taken away in a single day, but I can never be taken from you. I invite you to find your true, indestructible identity exclusively within my kingdom. You are not defined by how much money you make. You are not defined by the mistakes of your past or the failures you try so hard to hide. You are my beloved child. That is the only title that will survive this global shaking. When the things of this world fall apart, I will remain standing, and if you are hidden in me, you will remain standing too. Let this shaking purify your heart. I want you to let go of the tight grip you have on your earthly possessions. I see how you exhaust yourself trying to build a perfect, comfortable life. But comfort is an illusion if it is not rooted in me. I am using this difficult season to purify your desires. I want you to desire me more than you desire a promotion. I want you to crave my presence more than you crave financial security. I invite you to step out of the stressful race of this world. I command you to lay down your heavy burdens of striving and proving yourself. Let the failing systems of men fall. You not try to prop them up. Let them fall, and watch how I will personally sustain you, provide for you, and protect you when everything else is crumbling to dust. I see the world constantly promising you a false peace. I hear the loud voices of mankind offering you unity, safety, and comfort if you just follow their rules and trust their leaders. I see you desperately wanting to believe them. You are tired of the constant fighting in the news, the division in your community, and the loud arguments on your screens. You just want things to be calm. But I warn you now, you must reject the false, temporary promises of unity offered by mankind. The world cannot give you what it does not possess. I told you that sudden destruction will come right when the world loudly cries, peace and safety. I want you to recognize this deception. I want you to see the vast, deep difference between political pacification and my eternal shalom. The world's peace is just a temporary pause in the fighting. My peace is a deep, unbreakable stillness inside your soul, even while the war is raging outside. I command you to heavily guard your heart against these deceptive cultural movements. Do not look for saviors in political offices or internet influencers. They are just frail, flawed humans like everyone else. They cannot heal the deep wounds of your soul, and they cannot fix a broken world. Only I can do that. I invite you to trust my absolute sovereignty, even when the nations are in a violent uproar. I see your heart racing when you read the news. I feel the tension in your shoulders when you think about the direction the world is heading. But I am still on the throne. I have not lost control of the universe. Not a single leader rises to power or falls from it without my permission. I am fully in charge. I invite you to stop seeking comfort in the world's shallow answers. Instead, I offer you the deep, inner calm that only my Holy Spirit can deeply provide. I want you to close your eyes right now and block out the loud noise of the culture. Stop letting the media tell you how to feel. Stop letting the angry voices around you steal your joy. I command you to bring your anxious mind to me. I will replace your heavy panic with my perfect peace. When the illusion of worldly peace is finally and fully shattered, you will not be afraid. You will stand totally secure, wrapped in my love, knowing that your true safety was never in the hands of the world to begin with. It was always strictly in mine. I want you to look at the dark clouds gathering on the horizon. You can feel the heavy change in the air, just like the thick, breathless silence right before a massive thunderstorm breaks. I am giving you the spiritual foresight to discern this changing climate. The trials in this world are rapidly accelerating. You feel it in your own life, do you not? The sudden, unexplained exhaustion. The sudden fights with your spouse over tiny things. The deep, heavy sadness that drops on you for no clear reason. I want you to know that this is not just normal life. You are witnessing the physical manifestation of an invisible spiritual war. The enemy is angry, and he is fighting hard because he knows his time is incredibly short. I command you to wake up and see the unseen reality around you. I need you to prepare your mind and your spirit for the inevitable increase of worldly hostility. The culture is going to push back against my truth harder than ever before. You will feel the pressure to compromise at your workplace. You will feel the temptation to stay quiet when you know you should speak up. I see your fear of being canceled, mocked, or left out. But I invite you to embrace this reality rather than hiding from it. Do not choose willful, comforting ignorance. Do not pretend the storm is not coming just because it is easier to ignore it. I am giving you the armor you need to walk right through the heavy rain. You do not need to run away. You need to stand firm. I promise you absolute safety under the shadow of my wings. When the heavy winds of life start howling, I want you to run directly to me. I am your safe shelter. I am your strong tower. The enemy wants to isolate you and make you feel like you are fighting this giant storm all by yourself. But I am fiercely standing in front of you. I command you to hold fast to the unbreakable assurance that even the fiercest winds must obey my command. The storm cannot destroy you if you are securely anchored to me. Let the thunder crash. Let the lightning flash around you. I will hold you close to my chest, and you will hear the steady, calm rhythm of my heartbeat above the deafening noise of the world. Do not fear the storm, my child. I am the master of the wind. My child, do not close this out. Do not walk away when I am right in the middle of pouring out my raw, unfiltered heart to you. It deeply grieves my Holy Spirit when you let the cheap distractions of this fading world pull you away from my life-saving voice. We have only just begun to heavily armor you for the violent storm that is currently breaking. Stay with me. Listen intensely to what comes next, because your spiritual survival entirely depends on it. I am absolutely not finished speaking to you, and I need you to honor my presence by staying right here until I am done. I am currently doing a deep, intense work in the earth and in my church. I am heavily sifting the true, devoted believers from the nominal and the lukewarm. I see you watching people you once respected walk away from the faith. I see your confusion when leaders fall and friends compromise their beliefs for the sake of an easier life. I am allowing this. I am exposing hidden motives, secret sins, and divided loyalties. The time for playing games with my grace is completely over. I am looking for a bride who is pure, deeply committed, and fiercely loyal. I am asking you today to carefully examine your own heart. I invite you to let me shine my bright light into the dark, hidden corners of your life. What are you holding on to that you need to let go of? What secret habit is slowly draining your spiritual power? I command you to count the true cost of genuine discipleship in this critical final hour. Following me is not a pathway to a comfortable, wealthy, easy life. Following me means picking up your cross daily. It means dying to your selfish desires. I see how hard it is for you to give up control. I see how you struggle to forgive the person who hurt you deeply. I see your reluctance to trust me with your finances. But I am calling you to total, absolute surrender. I invite you to willingly submit to the refining fire. The fire does not feel good. It burns away the pride, the selfishness, and the fear. But it leaves behind pure, brilliant gold. I want you to embrace the necessary, painful discomfort of deep transformation. You cannot stay the way you are and walk into the glorious future I have for you. I command you to stand firm on the narrow way. The broad path is crowded, loud, and easy. You will see the multitudes choosing it because it promises instant gratification and requires no sacrifice. But that path leads to total destruction. I am calling you to walk the hard, quiet, narrow road with me. It will feel lonely sometimes. You will be misunderstood by your family and rejected by your peers. But I am walking that narrow road right beside you. I am holding your hand every single step of the way. Do not look to the left or to the right. Keep your eyes firmly fixed on me. Let the sifting happen. Let the chaff blow away in the wind. I am making you into strong, pure wheat, ready to be gathered safely into my eternal barn. I see the deep, heavy weariness in your bones right now. You are walking through a season that feels unbearably long, and I know you are tired. You wake up exhausted before your feet even touch the floor. I watch you pushing through the endless demands of your job, the heavy stress of your bills, and the constant friction in your relationships. You pray for a breakthrough. You ask for relief, and yet the circumstances around you remain stubbornly unchanged. You wonder if I am listening. You wonder if your prayers are just bouncing off a silent ceiling. I am speaking to you today to tell you that I hear every single sigh. I collect every silent tear. I invite you to understand that this long, hard waiting room is not a punishment. It is the fierce, necessary testing of your enduring faith. I command you to look closely at the fiery furnace you are standing in right now. The pressure you feel at work, the tension in your marriage, the rebellious choices of your children. These are the flames. But I promise you, these flames will not consume you. I am right there in the fire with you, cooling the air and protecting your soul. I want you to develop the kind of faith that does not melt when the heat gets turned up. It is easy to trust me when your bank account is full and your body is perfectly healthy. But I am forging a deep, indestructible trust inside you that can withstand total chaos. I want your faith to be like solid steel, hardened and strengthened by the very trials meant to break you. You must cling to my promises when every single physical circumstance screams the exact opposite. I see the medical reports that bring you deep fear. I see the bank statements that fill you with panic. I command you to stop letting your physical eyes dictate your spiritual reality. The world will tell you to give up, to throw in the towel, and to accept defeat. I tell you to stand back up. I invite you to fiercely grab hold of my word and refuse to let go. When your mind tells you that you are entirely alone and completely ruined, I want you to forcefully speak my truth over your life. Tell your mind that I am your provider, your healer, and your absolute defense. I want you to realize that your most powerful testimony is being born right now, right in the middle of your suffering and perseverance. People around you are watching how you handle this crushing pressure. Your coworkers, your neighbors, and your family members are looking to see if your faith is actually real. When they see you trusting me in the dark, when they see you holding on to hope when everything is falling apart, you become a living, breathing miracle to them. I command you to keep enduring. Do not quit right before the breakthrough comes. The glorious reward awaiting those who endure faithfully to the very end is far greater than the temporary pain of today. Draw renewed strength today from the great cloud of witnesses who walk this exact path before you. Look back at the men and women of old who faced impossible odds, crushing defeats, and long years of total silence. They did not give up, and I did not fail them. I will not fail you either. I invite you to lean the full weight of your exhausted soul against my chest. Let me carry you when your legs can no longer walk. You are passing the test of enduring faith, my beloved child, and I am incredibly proud of you. I need you to open your eyes wide and see the massive deception flooding your world today. You live in an age where absolute truth is constantly mocked and dangerous lies are celebrated as wisdom. I see you scrolling through your phone, bombarded by influencers, popular opinions, and cultural trends that sound incredibly loving but are deeply toxic to your soul. The enemy is not always coming at you with obvious evil. He is using subtle, clever twists of my word, designed perfectly to appease your modern culture. I command you to guard your mind aggressively against this rapid rise of false teachings. Do not believe everything that sounds good. Do not swallow the lies of a society that tells you to follow your own heart. I have told you clearly that the human heart is easily deceived. I watch you face the heavy pressure to conform to the world around you. You feel the intense fear of being labeled, canceled, or pushed out of your friend group if you actually stand up for my truth. You sit in meetings, at your job or in classrooms at your school, biting your tongue because you know the truth is deeply unpopular. I invite you to stop seeking the temporary, shallow approval of a confused society. I command you to fortify your mind against the pervasive, subtle spirit of the Antichrist that wants to silence you. If you trade my eternal, absolute truth for a moment of societal applause, you will lose your peace, your power, and your direction. You must develop a deep, unshakable biblical literacy to identify these spiritual counterfeits. You cannot recognize a counterfeit dollar if you have not heavily studied the genuine article. I command you to stop relying on quick devotionals and emotional sermons to feed your soul. You need to dive deep into my written word for yourself. When you know my voice intimately, the sweet-sounding lies of the enemy will instantly sound harsh and false to your ears. I want you to read my scriptures daily, not as a religious chore, but as an urgent survival manual for the days you are living in. I invite you to rely entirely on my Holy Spirit to grant you ultimate, unwavering discernment. You do not have to figure out the complex arguments of this world all on your own. When you face confusing cultural issues, when people try to twist my words to justify their own selfish desires, ask me for clarity. I will give it to you instantly. I will put a firm check in your spirit when something is wrong, even if the whole world is cheering for it. Listen to that gentle warning. Do not ignore the alarm bells ringing in your gut. I command you to stand completely firm, even if you must stand entirely alone. Refuse to bow down to the modern idols of tolerance and self-worship. I am raising you up to be a clear, bright light in a very dark, confused generation. You do not need the world's validation because you already have my complete approval. I know it takes immense courage to walk against the heavy current of the culture, but I am giving you that courage right now. Hold tightly to the ancient, unchanging truth, and let the lies of the final age shatter against the solid rock of your faith. I see how desperately overwhelmed you are by the constant, deafening noise of your daily life. From the moment you wake up, your attention is violently pulled in 100 different directions. I watch you answering endless emails, responding to constant text messages, and managing the relentless demands of your family and your career. Your mind is like a busy highway with traffic that never stops. Your physical body is carrying the heavy, toxic weight of all this unceasing stress. I command you right now to stop. I invite you to step out of the chaotic traffic and flee into the secret place of the Most High. You need unparalleled safety, and you will only find it hidden away with me. I command you to intentionally silence the noise of the world. You must violently disconnect from the endless cycle of news, social media, and digital distractions that are starving your spirit. I invite you to go into your room, shut the heavy door behind you, and leave your phone outside. The world will survive without your attention for a little while. I want your completely undivided focus. In that quiet, hidden place, I want you to simply sit still and breathe. Listen closely until you can hear the steady, calming rhythm of my heartbeat. I am waiting for you in the quiet. I am waiting to pour fresh, cool water on your dry, exhausted soul. I promise you profound physical and emotional healing within my embrace. When you enter the secret place and drop your heavy armor on the floor, I go to work. I see the deep emotional wounds you have carefully hidden from everyone else. I see the scars from the betrayals, the sharp sting of rejection, and the heavy ache of your past failures. I command you to stop trying to heal yourself. Stop numbing your pain with endless entertainment or unhealthy habits. Bring those bleeding wounds directly to me. I will carefully wash them, wrap them in my grace, and heal them from the inside out. My presence is the absolute best medicine for a broken, shattered heart. I invite you to experience the transformative power of daily, unbroken, and intimate communion with me. This is not about checking off a religious box or saying a quick, distracted prayer before you fall asleep. This is a deep, vital connection, like a tree drawing endless water from a hidden, underground river. When you prioritize my presence above your to-do list, everything else in your life will fall into its proper place. I will give you a clear, sharp mind. I will give you an unexplainable, radiant joy that bubbles up even when your surrounding circumstances are completely dark and difficult. You will see the tangible manifestation of my glory falling directly upon your private prayer closet. You will walk out of that quiet room carrying an undeniable peace that the world cannot understand and cannot take away. People will look at your life and wonder how you remain so incredibly calm in the middle of a global storm. They will see the bright reflection of my face shining on yours. I command you to make my presence your absolute highest priority today. Run into my strong arms, shut the door to the world, and let me restore your soul completely. I am calling you to realize the immense, explosive power hidden right inside your mouth. I listen to the words you carelessly speak over your own life every single day. I hear you looking in the mirror and calling yourself a failure, calling yourself unlovable, and predicting your own defeat. I watch you casually speak death over your finances, your marriage, and your children's futures. I command you to stop agreeing with the enemy. I command you to stop cursing the very life I died to give you. I have placed absolute authority in your hands, delegated directly to you through the mighty name of my Son, but you must choose to wield it correctly. I invite you to take up Holy Scripture and use it actively as the sharp, two-edged sword of the Spirit. My words are not just nice poems to comfort you. They are heavy, military-grade weapons designed to destroy the works of darkness. When anxiety aggressively attacks your mind in the middle of the night, do not just lie there and suffer. I command you to open your mouth and speak my word out loud into the empty room. Declare that I have not given you a spirit of fear, but of absolute power, love, and a sound mind. Watch how the heavy atmosphere in the room instantly shifts when you weaponize my eternal truth. I am giving you the power today to break dark, heavy generational curses and dismantle demonic strongholds by faith. I see the destructive patterns in your family history, the alcoholism, the bitter divorces, the endless cycle of poverty, and the uncontrollable anger. You do not have to accept these things as your normal reality. I command you to draw a hard, bold line in the sand today. Open your mouth and boldly declare my ancient promises over your family, your city, and your future. Say out loud, the cycle of destruction completely stops with me. I will back up your bold declarations with the full, unstoppable power of heaven. I invite you to actively shift the spiritual atmosphere of your home by weaponizing your worship and your praise. When the house feels tense, when the arguments start, when the heavy cloud of depression tries to settle over your family, I command you to turn on worship music and sing out loud. Praise is not just a song, it is an aggressive act of spiritual violence against the enemy. The darkness absolutely cannot stand the sound of a grateful, praising heart. Sing loudly until the heavy chains fall off and the dark shadows flee from your home entirely. I command you to start speaking life, resurrection, and unshakable hope into the situations of death and despair around you. You see your dreams lying dead on the ground. You see a marriage that looks completely ruined. You see a career that seems hopelessly stuck. Do not sit back and accept defeat. I am the God who raises the dead, and I live fully inside of you. Speak directly to those dead, dry bones, and command them to live. I will honor the words of faith you speak boldly in my name. Open your mouth, my child, and begin to dramatically change your world today. You have just learned the explosive power of your spoken word, but now I am calling you to put massive, physical action behind that faith in this critical hour. I am searching the earth right now for completely willing hands to partner with me in broadcasting this urgent warning to the desperate, dying masses. Every seed you generously sow today is a heavy, flaming arrow shot directly into the camp of the enemy, forcefully shattering the darkness. Your financial support directly funds the urgent rescue mission of shattered souls who are currently suffocating in fear, entirely blind to the storm that has arrived. Just as I commanded the light to shine out of the absolute darkness, I declare that your faithful offering will become a blinding beacon of hope to the lost. Do not hesitate. The time is incredibly short, and the harvest is violently spoiling while the world sleeps. As you radically pour out your resources, I will violently command the windows of heaven to blow open, multiplying your seed and fiercely rebuking the devourer from your home. I command you to step out in explosive faith right now. Use the super thanks, become a channel member, or sow through the PayPal link in the description, and permanently seal your part in this final, glorious rescue mission. Do not stop listening now. It literally shatters my heart when you turn your back and walk away just as the heavy, demonic chains are finally beginning to violently break off your life. If you abandon my voice in this incredibly critical moment, you are walking directly back into the very dark cage I am actively pulling you out of. I am heavily handing you the absolute keys to your total, permanent freedom. Honor my words today. Honor the massive, bloody price I paid to have this exact conversation with you. Stay deeply connected to me right now, beloved, because the next revelation I am about to speak will entirely change the trajectory of your family's future. I am issuing a very clear, urgent call to your heart today. I do not want the outward, fake show of your religion anymore. I do not want your perfect attendance at church or the tired, religious cliches you say to sound spiritual. I see right straight through the masks you wear. I see the hidden, secret areas of your life that you desperately try to keep locked away from me. I invite you today to offer me the real, raw tearing of your heart. True repentance is not just crying a few tears and feeling a little bit sorry. True repentance is a violent, decisive turning away from the things that are actively destroying your soul. I command you to turn decisively away from the modern idolatry of comfort, self, and endless entertainment. I see how you run to your glowing screens, your food, your alcohol, and your hobbies to completely numb the pain and emptiness inside you. You spend hours endlessly scrolling, trying to fill a massive void that only my presence can fill. I command you to smash these idols today. Stop wasting the precious, limited time I have given you on earth. You are called to be a mighty warrior in my kingdom, but you are living like a distracted, entertained captive. I invite you to wake up, drop the heavy chains of distraction, and run back into my waiting arms. I want you to experience the total, overwhelming cleansing power of the blood I shed on Calvary. I know the heavy, crushing guilt you carry on your shoulders. I see how you constantly beat yourself up over the terrible mistakes of your past. The enemy loudly whispers in your ear that you are too broken, too dirty, and too far gone for me to use. I command you to stop believing that poisonous lie immediately. When you genuinely confess your hidden sins to me, I do not just ignore them, I completely erase them. I wash you whiter than fresh snow. I invite you to receive total, absolute freedom from paralyzing guilt and debilitating shame right now. I desire the joyous restoration of your first love and your burning passion for my presence. Do you remember when you first met me? Do you remember the fire that used to burn inside your chest, the intense hunger you had for my word? The world and its heavy cares have slowly choked that fire down to a tiny, smoking ember. I am blowing the wind of my spirit upon that ember today. I command you to fan the flame. I invite you to fiercely chase after me again, just like you did in the very beginning. Step boldly into the total newness of life with a clear, entirely liberated conscience. I command you to leave your heavy baggage of past failures sitting at the foot of the cross. Do not pick it back up tomorrow. You are a completely new creation. The old, broken, sinful version of you is dead and buried. I invite you to walk with your head held incredibly high, fully clothed in my perfect righteousness. Turn your face toward me, leave the darkness far behind, and step into the bright, magnificent destiny I have prepared for you. I see you waking up every morning and carefully preparing your physical body for the day. You choose your clothes, you gather your things, and you rush out the door to face the heavy demands of your life. But I watch as you step out into a violent, vicious spiritual war zone completely unprotected. I command you right now to stop leaving your soul exposed to the constant attacks of the enemy. I invite you to intentionally put on the full, heavy armor I have specifically designed for your ultimate survival and absolute victory. You are not fighting against difficult bosses, angry neighbors, or frustrated family members. You are fighting invisible, demonic forces that want to completely destroy your peace, your family, and your mind. I command you to get dressed for the real battle. I invite you to firmly fasten the thick belt of truth around your waist. You are living in a deeply confused culture that tells you truth is whatever you want it to be. This moral relativity will leave you stumbling and totally unstable. My truth is the only solid, objective reality that exists. I command you to wrap my word tightly around your core so that you can stand absolutely firm when the world tries to pull you off balance. I invite you to wear the heavy, impenetrable breastplate of righteousness to heavily guard your vital spiritual organs. The enemy constantly wants to pierce your heart with deep shame and sudden condemnation. When you wear my perfect righteousness, his toxic arrows of guilt simply bounce off your chest and fall harmlessly to the ground, I command you to constantly shod your feet with the firm readiness and solid stability of the gospel of peace. I know the ground you walk on every day at your job, in your neighborhood, and even in your own home often feels hostile, hard, and completely chaotic. When you wear my peace on your feet, you can confidently walk right into a room full of intense anger and completely shift the atmosphere. I invite you to take up the massive, heavy shield of faith. You feel the flaming arrows of the enemy hitting your mind all day long. The sudden panic attacks, the heavy doubts, the whispers that you are entirely worthless. I command you to raise your shield and forcefully extinguish every single one of those burning lies. You do not have to absorb the attacks of the enemy. I command you to securely strap on the helmet of salvation to fully protect your exhausted mind. I see the brutal battles that happen in your head at 3 in the morning. I see the dark, racing thoughts that try to convince you that your future is completely doomed. Your mind is the primary battlefield, and I invite you to protect it aggressively. Remind yourself constantly that you are heavily bought, entirely saved, and completely mine. Finally, I command you to stop merely defending yourself and start maintaining a relentless, violent offensive stance. I invite you to pick up the sharp sword of the Spirit, which is my spoken word, and fight back through constant, Spirit-led prayer. Do not just take the hits from the enemy. Open your mouth, swing the sword of my truth, and violently drive the darkness completely out of your life. I am issuing a loud, urgent, and desperately needed call to my global body today. I look at my church, and my heart breaks to see so many of my precious children fast asleep. I see massive buildings filled with people, yet their hearts are entirely completely cold, distant, and deeply disconnected from me. I command the global body of Christ to forcefully rise from its heavy complacency and its lazy, toxic apathy. I invite you to personally wake up from the comfortable, easy routine of dead religion. Going to a building once a week and singing a few tired songs is not the deeply passionate, world-changing relationship I absolutely require from you. I want your whole, burning heart, not just your polite, religious attendance. I command you to completely shed the dead, dry religious traditions that have kept you completely trapped in a spiritual box. You have traded the raw, explosive power of the Holy Spirit for safe, predictable, and totally empty rituals. I invite you into an authentic, intensely real relationship with me. I want to talk to you in your car, in your kitchen, and in the quiet moments of your busy day. I am preparing a sudden, massive impartation of fresh, consuming fire upon the abandoned altars of your life. I command you to clear away the cultural clutter, the modern distractions, and the selfish ambitions that have totally suffocated your spiritual passion. Let my wild, untamed fire fall on your heart once again. I invite you to actively participate in the forging of a deep, unbreakable unity among true believers. I watch you argue endlessly over petty theological differences, political opinions, and personal preferences while the entire world around you is literally dying in the dark. I command you to stop fighting your brothers and sisters. The enemy loves to keep my church fiercely divided because a divided army cannot possibly win the war. I command you to reach across the dividing lines, forgive the people who have deeply offended you, and lock your shields tightly together. When the world clearly sees your radical, unconditional love for one another, they will finally believe that I am completely real. I am heavily orchestrating the mass, global mobilization of the saints right now. I command you to understand that you are not just an audience member sitting quietly in the pews. You are a highly trained, deeply equipped soldier with a very specific, crucial kingdom assignment. I invite you to step out of the comfortable background and violently take your place on the front lines. Your neighborhood is your assigned territory. Your workplace is your specific mission field. I command you to stop waiting for someone else to do the heavy lifting. I invite you to rise up right now, filled completely with my power, and become the bright, radiant city set on a high hill that the deep darkness absolutely cannot hide. I see the incredible devastation, the intense pain, and the heavy darkness completely covering your world. I hear the silent, desperate cries of the broken, the lost, and the completely blind who wander through life without any hope. I am looking for someone to stand directly between my absolute power and their desperate need. I invite you today to bravely and courageously stand in the gap. I command you to stop casually observing the heavy destruction around you and start actively fighting against it on your knees. I do not just want you to offer a quick, polite prayer before you eat your dinner. I invite you to harness the raw, prevailing power of persistent, tearful, and completely desperate prayer. I command you to partner directly with my perfect will to heavily enforce heaven's agenda right here upon the earth. You have the total authority to fundamentally change the course of human history through your hidden intercession. When you see your city falling into deep corruption, when you see your schools entirely compromised, when you see your own children slowly drifting away from my truth, do not just sit there and complain. I command you to wage absolute spiritual violence against the encroaching darkness. I invite you to fall on your face, weep for the deep brokenness of your generation, and refuse to let go of me until I completely change the situation. I want you to heavily trigger massive, invisible, angelic movement through your unified, aggressive prayers. You cannot see it with your physical human eyes, but when you open your mouth and boldly declare my promises in faith, I instantly dispatch legions of powerful, flaming angels to fight heavily on your behalf. I command you to stop feeling entirely helpless when you watch the terrifying daily news. Your prayers are the most powerful, explosive weapons currently on the earth. I invite you to speak directly to the heavy spiritual strongholds governing your community and fiercely command them to absolutely crumble in my mighty name. I am inviting you to birth both global and deeply personal revival through the heavy agony of travailing intercession. Real, massive change never comes easily or cheaply. It comes when a man or a woman completely refuses to accept the dark status quo. I command you to offer me your tears, your precious time, and your intense focus. Pray for your lost friends until you see them completely saved. Pray for your physically sick family members until you see them entirely healed. I invite you to deeply feel my own heavy heartbeat for the lost. When you intercede with my intense passion, you will see exactly what I can do. I see the deep, heavy panic gripping your heart when you look at the constantly rising prices at the grocery store. I watch you sit at your kitchen table late at night, staring at your bills, frantically trying to make the math work. The world's economy is shaking violently, completely unstable, and entirely unreliable. I hear the constant, loud voices of the culture screaming about famine, lack, depression, and total financial collapse. I command you to entirely tune out the loud panic of the world. I invite you to trust me absolutely and implicitly as Jehovah Jireh, your perfect, unfailing provider. Your true economy is not determined by the stock market, the government, or the current inflation rate. Your economy is heavily dictated by my eternal, unlimited kingdom. I command you to deeply expect the supernatural, explosive multiplication of your seemingly meager, tiny resources. You look at what you have in your hands, and you think it is completely impossible to survive. But I am the exact same God who took 5 small loaves of bread and 2 tiny fish and easily fed a massive, hungry multitude. I can easily stretch your paycheck. I can easily make your resources last significantly longer than humanly possible. I invite you to bring your absolute lack directly to me, completely surrender it into my hands, and quietly watch me do the utterly impossible. I do not need a perfect human economy to bless you profoundly. I thrive in doing the impossible when things look totally, completely hopeless. I command you to fiercely cultivate a radical, generous spirit even in the very middle of your own personal lack. The enemy desperately wants you to completely hoard your resources, tightly close your fists, and live in constant, crippling fear of running out. I invite you to forcefully break the dark, crippling spirit of poverty and fear over your life right now. When you choose to be heavily generous with what little you have, you completely short-circuit the enemy's system. I command you to give freely, to bless others intentionally, and to hold your earthly money with completely open hands. When you live with a radically open hand, I can constantly pour fresh, abundant blessings right into it. I strongly invite you to remember the ancient truth that mankind absolutely does not live on physical bread alone, but on every single, powerful word that constantly proceeds out of my mouth. I command you to make my daily, sustaining presence your absolute, ultimate portion. Just as I faithfully rain down fresh manna from heaven every single morning for the Israelites in the completely barren wilderness, I will absolutely provide the exact manna you need for today. Do not violently worry about tomorrow's massive problems. I invite you to gather today's provision, deeply thank me for it, and entirely trust that I will be waiting for you with totally fresh mercy and fresh provision when the sun aggressively rises tomorrow. Are you still closely listening to me? Please do not turn away now. It brings an intense, heavy sorrow to my heart when you impatiently settle for only a tiny fraction of the massive blessing I want to completely pour over you. I am actively preparing an incredible, overflowing table for you right in the very middle of your vicious enemies, but you must stay firmly seated to actually receive the feast. Do not abandon this divine encounter. Do not let the enemy quietly steal your attention right before the massive breakthrough hits. Hold tightly, keep your ears completely open to my voice, and let me fully finish this profound, surgical work inside your tired soul. I am placing you in a world that is incredibly, heavily consumed by deep, vicious hatred and toxic bitterness. You see it clearly everywhere you look, people instantly canceling each other, screaming matches on the internet, and a completely heavy, oppressive anger filling the physical streets. The darkness is trying incredibly hard to completely swallow the culture whole. I command you to fiercely stand out against this pitch-black backdrop. I invite you to intensely radiate my unconditional, completely unexplainable love. When people aggressively attack you, I command you to completely refuse to hit them back. When the culture demands that you hate your political enemies, I invite you to deeply, radically love them and specifically pray for their completely ruined souls. I want you to totally highlight the incredibly stark, massive contrast between your perfect, solid peace and the world's frantic, chaotic panic. When everyone in your office is completely freaking out over a massive crisis, I command you to be the single, deeply grounded anchor in the room. I invite you to breathe deeply, heavily leaning on my presence, and let your absolute calmness be a loud, prophetic witness to the completely lost people around you. They will intensely wonder how you can possibly be so steady when the boat is violently rocking. Your profound, unshakable peace is the absolute loudest, most effective sermon you will ever preach to a deeply terrified world. I command you to actively perform acts of radical, entirely unexpected kindness every single day. The world is utterly starved for genuine, selfless love. I invite you to silently pay for the groceries of the stressed, single mother behind you in line. I command you to look the exhausted, unseen cashier directly in the eyes and speak profound life over them. These are not just nice, polite deeds. They are explosive, heavy spiritual bombs utterly destroying the thick darkness. I invite you to be the undeniable, physically visible evidence of my Holy Spirit deeply dwelling right inside of your physical body. Make my invisible love intensely tangible to the completely broken-hearted people you bump into every day. I command you to violently draw the completely shattered and deeply wounded people directly to me through the incredibly powerful testimony of your totally transformed life. You do not need a fancy religious degree or a massive platform to deeply change the world. You simply need to let my blinding, perfect light shine forcefully right through your broken, cracked places. I invite you to shine the absolute brightest and the most beautifully right now, precisely when the heavy cultural night is at its very darkest. Do not ever hide your light under a heavy basket out of fear. I command you to put it high on a stand, entirely expose it to the brutal wind, and forcefully watch the darkness completely shatter and frantically run away. I am looking directly into your home right now. I see the broken altars in your living room and in your kitchen. I watch you and your spouse sitting on the exact same couch, yet you are miles apart, entirely lost in the glowing screens of your phones. I hear the sharp, impatient tone in your voice when you speak to your children after a long, exhausting day. I see the heavy dust gathering on the Bible that sits quietly on your shelf. I command you today to passionately rebuild the essential priority of family worship and quiet devotion in your home. I invite you to ruthlessly remove the modern, noisy distractions that have completely stolen your affections. Turn off the television. Put the phone in another room. I command you to gather your family, even if it feels incredibly awkward at first, and invite my powerful presence back into the very center of your house. I am heavily committed to the miraculous, complete healing of the deep fractures within your marriage and your close relationships. I see the bitter walls you have carefully built to protect your fragile heart. I know you feel completely misunderstood and deeply unappreciated by the person you promised to love forever. I command you to stop waiting for them to apologize first. I invite you to boldly take the hard, humble step of total forgiveness. I will give you the exact words to say. I will deeply soften their hard heart as you fiercely choose to love them unconditionally. Watch how I can take a completely shattered, hopeless marriage and breathe fresh, beautiful life right back into it. I see the silent, agonizing tears you cry late at night over your wandering children. You violently worry about the dangerous, dark paths they are walking down. I command you to stop carrying that unbearable, heavy weight entirely on your own. I invite you to welcome the sudden, joyous return of your prodigals back to the Father's house. I am actively working on their rebellious hearts right now, even when you cannot see any visible proof. I am actively placing massive roadblocks on their destructive paths. I command you to keep the porch light brightly on. Keep your arms completely open, ready to violently embrace them with absolute grace the very moment they turn around and walk back through your door. I invite you to radically sanctify your daily work, your repetitive chores, and your normal routines as an entirely acceptable, holy offering to me. You do not have to be inside a massive church building to deeply worship me. I see you washing the endless piles of dishes. I watch you folding the laundry and driving the long, exhausting commute to a job you deeply struggle with. I command you to completely change your perspective right today. Do these simple, mundane tasks directly for me. Talk to me while you sweep the hard floor. I invite you to establish your own heart as a permanent, incredibly holy dwelling place for my spirit. I want you to feel my comforting presence in every single room of your home. I command you to physically walk through your house and aggressively dedicate every single corner to my eternal kingdom. Speak my powerful peace over your children's bedrooms while they sleep in the dark. Declare my absolute, heavy protection over your front door. I invite you to make your home a bright, warm lighthouse in a very dark, incredibly lonely neighborhood. Let the broken people on your street look at your family and deeply wonder where your profound, unexplainable joy comes from. Rebuild the altar today. I am waiting to meet you there with completely open arms. I am urgently commanding you to completely open your spiritual eyes and intensely look at the broken people standing right in front of you. I see you rushing blindly through your busy day, completely entirely ignoring the deep pain of the tired cashier at the grocery store, the silent, heavy depression of your coworker, and the crushing loneliness of your next-door neighbor. I command you to realize that the global fields are absolutely white and completely ready for a massive, unprecedented harvest right now. People are incredibly desperate, completely terrified of the fast-approaching future, and entirely empty inside. They are secretly begging for the exact, solid hope that you carry silently inside your chest. I invite you to deeply feel the profound, heavy urgency of boldly sharing the gospel with the unreached and the dying world all around you. This is not a task I gave only to professional pastors or highly trained religious speakers. I gave this vital, life-saving commission directly to you. I command you to absolutely stop making weak, fear-based excuses about not knowing the perfect words to say or not having enough deep theological training. I do not need your polished, perfect speeches. I simply need your available, incredibly willing heart. I invite you to eagerly receive the fresh, explosive empowerment of my Holy Spirit for bold, completely fearless evangelism. When you open your mouth to speak my truth in pure love, I will physically fill it with the exact, perfect words. I command you to confidently expect incredible signs, undeniable wonders, and massive miracles to heavily follow the simple proclamation of my word. When you bravely lay your hands on a sick, terrified coworker and boldly pray in my powerful name, I want you to fully expect me to miraculously heal them right then and there. I invite you to witness the miraculous, sudden breaking of stone-hard hearts through the radical, shocking demonstration of my unconditional love. You will absolutely see people who previously mocked my name entirely break down in healing, heavy tears when you show them genuine, unexpected kindness. I invite you to boldly share in my intense, divine joy as the deeply lost are finally brought safely into the eternal fold. There is absolutely no feeling on this entire earth that compares to watching a spiritually dead person suddenly come back to vibrant, beautiful life. I command you to aggressively step out of your comfortable, completely safe Christian bubble. The world is heavily bleeding out, and you are literally holding the only absolute cure. I invite you to aggressively invite people to the table. Tell them exactly what I have done in your own messy, complicated life. Share the real, completely unfiltered story of how I powerfully rescued you from your own dark pit. Your honest, vulnerable testimony is the very heavy weapon I will use to aggressively shatter the demonic chains holding them completely captive. I watch you hesitate because you are deeply afraid of being harshly rejected. You intensely fear that speaking my name will make your relationships incredibly awkward. I command you to completely push past the temporary, human discomfort. What is a moment of awkwardness compared to the eternal destination of a human soul? I invite you to heavily prioritize eternity over your temporary, fading reputation. Step into the ripe field today, roll up your sleeves, and work closely alongside me. I know the incredibly deep, heavy sting of bitter rejection. I see the deep anxiety twisting in your stomach when you know you absolutely have to take a hard, deeply unpopular stand at your workplace or even among your own family members. I command you to willingly embrace rejection, and even cruel, loud mockery from the world for the sake of my holy name. Do not act entirely surprised when the culture fiercely and violently turns against you. I told you clearly in my word that the world would violently hate you because it violently hated me first. I invite you to entirely stop trying to make the broken world aggressively love you. You absolutely cannot be fiercely loyal to my eternal kingdom and heavily praised by a deeply confused, rebellious culture at the exact same time. I command you to allow the completely uncompromising, radical strength of Daniel in the lion's den to be aggressively replicated directly inside of you right now. The lions you face today might not be physical, hungry wild animals. Your modern lions are the intense threat of losing your career, the harsh reality of being completely canceled on social media, or the painful, silent isolation of being entirely left out of your friend group. I invite you to stand absolutely tall in the very middle of that modern den. I command you to refuse absolutely to bow your knee to the golden calves of this loud, demanding modern culture. Do not ever easily compromise your deep, biblical convictions just to keep a temporary, fake peace. I invite you to find the deepest, most incredibly sweet fellowship with me exactly when you feel entirely abandoned by everyone else. When your old friends walk completely away because of your bold faith, I will violently rush in to fill that massive empty space in your heart. You are never actually alone. I command you to heavily lean your entire weight into my presence when the isolation feels completely unbearable. The beautiful, intense intimacy we will build together in those dark, lonely seasons will be absolutely worth the painful cost of rejection. I command you to trust implicitly in the ultimate, spectacular vindication of the righteous in my perfect, divinely appointed time. You do not ever need to aggressively defend yourself when the world loudly tells terrible lies about you. You do not need to fight dirty, angry battles on the internet just to prove you are completely right. I am your absolute, unstoppable defender. I invite you to stay completely quiet, completely humble, and completely fiercely obedient to me. I will personally handle your vicious enemies. I will publicly, gloriously clear your name when the exact right moment arrives. I invite you to constantly remember that the heavy, eternal weight of glory far outweighs any temporary, earthly persecution you are facing today. The intense pain of being mocked will only last for a very short, fleeting moment. The glorious, radiant crown I am heavily preparing for your incredible faithfulness will last for all of eternity. I command you to fix your eyes intensely on the finish line. Do not let the loud, angry shouts of the crowd entirely distract you from finishing the race. Stand firmly, stand completely alone if you have to, and know that all of heaven is loudly cheering for your incredible bravery. I see the incredible, heavy weight of dark grief that you are currently carrying deep inside your chest. I watch you crying silently in the shower so that absolutely nobody else can hear your intense, shattering pain. I see the massive, gaping hole left in your life by the people you have violently lost, the bright dreams that entirely shattered into pieces, and the deep hopes that were completely crushed by reality. I command you to absolutely stop trying to act entirely strong all by yourself. I invite you to immediately fall into the tender, overwhelmingly warm embrace of the Comforter in these moments of agonizing, blinding grief. I did not design you to carry this unbearable sorrow entirely on your own frail shoulders. I command you to heavily tune out the loud, completely confusing advice of the world and quietly listen for my gentle, unmistakable whisper. When the path ahead is entirely obscured by thick, heavy fog, when you have absolutely no idea what to do tomorrow, I am speaking directly to you. I invite you to stop frantically searching for complicated human answers and simply ask me for clear, divine direction. I will guide your tired steps securely, one single day at a time. You do not need to see the entire massive staircase. I just need you to boldly take the next single step while holding incredibly tightly onto my strong, unbreakable hand. I am aggressively pouring out a supernatural, thick peace over your mind that completely surpasses all human logic and all earthly reason. The world absolutely cannot understand how you can possibly be so calm when your entire life looks like it is entirely falling apart. I invite you to heavily receive this divine peace right now. Let it wash aggressively over your racing, terrified thoughts like a cool, rushing river. I command you to absolutely rest in the total, completely unshakable assurance of your permanent adoption as my beloved, deeply chosen child. You are not a temporary guest in my house. You are a fiercely protected, permanently loved member of my eternal family. I invite you to completely rely on the deep, heavy intercession of the Holy Spirit exactly when you have absolutely no earthly words left to pray. I see the terrible moments when you just lay entirely flat on the floor, completely exhausted, only able to produce heavy tears and deep, silent groans. I command you to know that those tears are incredibly powerful, heaven-shaking prayers. The Spirit takes your unspoken, shattered agony and perfectly translates it directly to my holy throne. I understand exactly what you desperately need even when you absolutely cannot articulate it. I command you to heavily trust in the divine, unbreakable seal upon your soul that absolutely guarantees the great day of your final redemption. The enemy cannot possibly break that permanent, blazing seal. Your beautiful future is completely secure, perfectly locked away in my massive vault. I invite you to breathe a deep, heavy sigh of immense relief today. You do not have to fiercely fight for your absolute emotional survival anymore. The Comforter has fiercely taken up permanent residence directly inside of your heart, and I promise you, He is absolutely never going to leave you entirely alone in the dark. Let my profound, heavy comfort completely rewrite your painful story today. As my heavy, supernatural comfort aggressively wraps around your exhausted soul in this terrifying hour, I am urgently asking you to extend that exact same lifeline to others. I am personally inviting you to become the tangible, physical hands that deliver my profound peace to a terrified world that is currently drowning in panic. By financially supporting this ministry, you are forcefully pulling shattered, grieving souls out of the violently raging waters and bringing them safely into the ark of my presence. Let your radical generosity become the pure, costly oil poured directly upon the deep, bleeding wounds of this entirely broken generation. For I tell you now, whatever you do for the absolute least of these terrified ones, you are doing it directly and intimately for me. The moment I warned you about is fully here, and millions are entirely unsheltered. This is your divine, unrepeatable appointment to be a radical provider in the famine. I absolutely promise that as you empty your cup to refresh others, I will violently flood your own life with an unstoppable river of supernatural provision and divine favor. I command you to forcefully push back the darkness today. Click the super thanks button, join as a vital member, or give fiercely through the PayPal link below, and watch me multiply your profound obedience. Listen to me closely. Do not let the loud, chaotic world pull your heavy eyes away from the screen now. We are currently standing on the very bleeding edge of your absolute, total transformation. It pains me deeply, it brings tears to my own eyes, when my precious children grow easily weary and leave the room right before the final trumpet of victory sounds in their lives. I am about to violently unveil the absolute, breathtaking climax of your eternal future. Do not break this incredibly intimate communion we are having. Stay fiercely, violently locked onto my voice until the very last word, for what I am about to tell you next will securely and permanently seal your completely exhausted heart for all of eternity. I see the incredible, heavy unfairness you face every single day of your life. I watch the people who entirely lied about you, the ones who deliberately manipulated the truth to make themselves look good while you were pushed aside and entirely ignored. I see the broken, corrupt systems of this world that crush your hard-earned finances while the dishonest and the wicked seem to get incredibly rich without any consequences. I know you sit in the dark and cry heavy tears of sheer, agonizing frustration. I want you to listen closely to me right now. I have carefully, intimately collected every single one of those desperate tears. Not a single drop of your pain has fallen to the cold ground unseen by my watchful eyes. I command you to rest entirely in the absolute, concrete assurance that I am a God of perfect, unbending justice. I invite you to fiercely anticipate the rapidly approaching day when every single wrong will be made perfectly right. I know how badly you want to take matters directly into your own tired hands. I see you getting deeply angry, wanting to furiously defend yourself to the people who gossip about you. I see you wanting to get even with the employer who treated you like you were completely disposable. I command you to drop your heavy weapons right now. I invite you to completely step out of the exhausting ring of revenge. Vengeance belongs entirely to me. I absolutely promise you that I will justly, completely repay the wicked for every single thing they have done in the dark. You do not ever need to fight dirty. You do not need to lower your standards to match the completely broken culture around you. I am actively bringing a righteous, inescapable, and heavy judgment upon the rebellious nations, their completely broken systems, and their highly corrupt leaders. The world currently looks like the bad guys are entirely winning the game, but I assure you, that is only a temporary, fragile illusion. I invite you to eagerly watch as the ultimate, profoundly humiliating defeat of the great adversary and all his dark, demonic dominions happens right before your very eyes. They are currently celebrating a victory they absolutely do not own. I command you to stand incredibly firm in your quiet integrity today. Do not cheat just because everyone else in your office is cheating. Do not tell convenient lies just to get slightly ahead in your career. I solemnly promise you the glorious, highly public vindication of every single saint who deeply suffered for the righteous cause of my kingdom. When the heavy dust of human history finally settles, I will personally lift your tired head. I will forcefully show the entire watching world that you were absolutely right to trust me when it looked completely foolish. Let the wicked continue to loudly plot and scheme in their boardrooms. Their terrible day is coming rapidly. But for you, my entirely beloved child, your brilliant day of absolute vindication is permanently and securely marked on my calendar. I invite you to forcefully breathe out your heavy resentment right now. Give me your deep, exhausting anger. Let me fully carry the massive burden of justice, while you simply carry the bright, pure light of my unconditional love. I will absolutely never fail you. I command you to look up from your heavy, exhausting daily grind right now. I know you are constantly staring down at your endless bills, your frustrating to-do lists, and your incredibly overwhelming calendar. I invite you to forcefully lift your tired, burning eyes and look directly toward the beautiful, breathtaking horizon I am actively painting just for you. You are currently watching the old, exhausted, entirely broken order of human sorrow, physical decay, and massive pain finally begin to fade away into the shadows. I see exactly how your physical body deeply aches when you try to wake up in the morning. I see the terrifying sickness that modern medicine simply cannot seem to completely cure. I watch the deep, heavy grief you carry for the beautiful, precious things in this temporary world that are constantly dying, breaking, and rusting away. I invite you to catch a stunning, heart-stopping glimpse of the brand new heavens and the entirely remade earth that I am actively building for you right this very second. I command you to absolutely stop believing the dark lie that this broken, painful, entirely unfair world is all there is to your existence. This life is merely the rough, incredibly temporary shadow of what is actually coming. I want you to deeply experience the profound, overwhelming tenderness of my love as I personally step down and gently wipe away every single heavy tear from your exhausted eyes. I will not send an angel to do this intimate task. I will use my own divine hands to touch your face and completely erase your trauma. I am forcefully bringing about the complete, total restoration of Eden's flawless, breathtaking perfection and our completely unbroken, intimate communion. I invite you to imagine a stunning world with absolutely no crowded hospitals, no quiet graveyards, no bitter divorce courts, and no heavy, suffocating depression. I command you to deeply marvel at the incomprehensible, majestic beauty of your permanent, eternal home. You constantly stress and worry about paying your expensive rent or your heavy mortgage in this temporary life. But I have already paid in full for a massive, gorgeous, indestructible mansion perfectly designed just for you. I invite you to tightly hold on to the thrilling, explosive anticipation of finally looking directly upon my face without any dark, confusing veil standing between us. You will never have to guess what I am quietly doing in your life ever again. You will never have to read a book or listen to a sermon just to hear my voice. You will look directly into my burning eyes of love, and you will instantly, completely know that every single second of your earthly suffering was absolutely worth it. I command you to let this massive, beautiful promise entirely rewrite your current, stressful perspective. The intense pain you are feeling right now is absolutely nothing compared to the blinding, glorious joy that is rapidly rushing over the new horizon. I am specifically commanding you today to entirely endure your current, temporary trials by forcefully fixing your absolute gaze upon your massive, eternal rewards. The broken world constantly tells you to frantically live only for the coming weekend, to selfishly live only for your next expensive vacation, or to desperately chase your next big paycheck. I invite you to aggressively live for the eternal, completely imperishable crowns of massive glory that are heavily reserved for the faithful overcomers. I want you to know that absolutely nothing you do for me goes entirely unnoticed. When you chose to completely bite your tongue instead of yelling back at your angry spouse, I clearly saw that. When you quietly gave your very last $20 to someone who was in desperate need, I permanently recorded that beautiful act. I want you to deeply and intensely anticipate the grand, incredibly tearful reunion with the precious, irreplaceable loved ones who died holding tightly onto their faith. I see the entirely empty chair at your dining room table that breaks your heart every single holiday. I see the quiet, terribly dark days when the heavy, crushing grief makes it incredibly hard for you to even breathe. I command you to absolutely stop weeping as if they are permanently gone forever. They are significantly more alive right now than you are, and I am personally, directly going to bring them right back into your completely open arms. I invite you to get your spirit entirely ready to join the thunderous, absolutely unceasing, earth-shattering chorus of perfect worship right around my massive heavenly throne. The quiet songs you sing by yourself in your car or in your small church building are just the tiny, quiet practice rounds for the main event. I am strongly calling you to aggressively claim the magnificent, breathtaking inheritance permanently reserved in heaven completely for you. It is entirely undefiled, perfectly unfading, and absolutely secure. The failing, crashing economy of the earth absolutely cannot touch it. Thieves absolutely cannot break in and steal it. I command you to start aggressively preparing your spiritual garments right now for the ultimate, spectacular, entirely mind-blowing celebration, the massive marriage supper of the Lamb. You are my fiercely beloved bride, and I am pulling out absolutely all the stops for our incredible wedding day. I invite you to let this deep, absolute, concrete joy violently push out the heavy, toxic depression that is desperately trying to totally suffocate you today. I command you to smile directly at the dark, terrifying future that the loud world constantly predicts. You do not need to panic about tomorrow, because you already know exactly how this incredible, majestic story permanently ends. Let the joy set entirely before you be the heavy, unstoppable fuel that perfectly powers your exhausted engine today. I urgently command you to start living every single day of your life with your spiritual lamps completely trimmed, heavily filled with fresh oil, and burning intensely, violently brightly. Do not ever let your holy fire go completely out just because the painful wait feels incredibly long to your human mind. I see you getting entirely, dangerously distracted by the petty, angry arguments on social media, the endless, toxic political debates, and the completely trivial empty entertainments of this fading world. I invite you to violently and decisively snap entirely out of that dangerous, heavy trance today. You must be eagerly, desperately awaiting the sudden, absolutely glorious appearing of my Son riding powerfully and fiercely upon the massive clouds of heaven. I want you to completely realize that he is absolutely not coming back as a quiet, completely ignored, suffering servant. He is violently coming back as the undisputed, totally undefeated, heavy-handed king of the entire created universe. I command you to deeply and intensely anticipate the miraculous, entirely instantaneous transformation of your weak, frail, mortal body into stunning, completely flawless immortality. The terribly bad knees that constantly ache, the quickly failing eyesight, the heavy, totally chronic exhaustion, all of it will entirely vanish in the absolute, blinding blink of an eye. I invite you to vividly visualize the magnificent, terrifyingly beautiful, entirely massive angelic gathering of all the chosen elect from the four furious, howling winds of the earth. You will proudly stand securely shoulder to shoulder with the absolute greatest, most courageous saints of all human history. I am currently orchestrating the final, absolute, entirely permanent destruction of death, the last, greatest, and absolute ugliest enemy of mankind. Death has violently bullied and entirely terrified my precious children for far too long. I command you to absolutely stop fearing the cold, dark grave. The grave is not a permanent prison. It is merely a temporary, quickly passing doorway into my glorious presence. I invite you to get entirely, completely ready for the triumphant, deafeningly roaring entry of the redeemed saints directly into the towering, massive gates of the celestial, eternal city. The violent, incredible celebration will literally shake the very ancient foundations of the entire cosmos. I command you to keep continually watching the sky with immense, absolute hope. Keep your heavy heart completely pure from the toxic filth of this culture. Keep your tired hands incredibly busy doing my assigned work in your neighborhood. The golden trumpet is resting directly against the lips of the mighty archangel right now, entirely waiting only for my final, absolute nod. We have absolutely, finally reached the breathtaking, completely perfect culmination of all human history, resolving perfectly into my divine, flawless, and incredible design. All the thousands of long years of desperate human striving, the terrible, bloody wars, the agonizing, desperate prayers, and the profound, heavy suffering are coming to an absolute, permanent, and complete end. I want you to clearly and loudly hear my final, massive, universe-shaking declaration continuously echoing across all of eternity. It is entirely done. I am absolutely the Alpha and the Omega, the very first beginning and the ultimate, final end. I command you to let those heavy, incredibly massive words entirely settle your anxious, completely racing heart today. I am currently, actively establishing an eternal, absolutely unstoppable reign completely characterized by perfect, quiet peace, absolute, unbending righteousness, and incredibly unhindered, massive unconditional love. I invite you to deeply and entirely understand that my holy, physical dwelling place is being established permanently and visibly right among completely redeemed humanity. I will absolutely not be a distant, silent God hiding entirely in the high clouds anymore. I will literally be your physical, deeply intimate neighbor. You will casually and beautifully walk directly with me in the cool, refreshing breeze of the completely unending day. I extend directly to you the eternal, entirely open, and completely free invitation to drink freely, deeply, and endlessly from the crystal clear, massive river of the water of eternal life. You will absolutely never, ever be physically thirsty, spiritually tired, or emotionally empty ever again. The deep, heavy void inside your chest that you spent your entire earthly life trying desperately to fill will be entirely, permanently satisfied by my overwhelming physical presence. I command you to let this final, entirely unbreakable, massive blessing heavily rest upon your weary, totally exhausted shoulders right now. You have bravely fought the exhausting, terrible battles in the dark. You have bravely and fiercely kept the precious faith when it was incredibly difficult to even see the next step. Now, I intensely invite you to confidently step entirely into the absolute, concrete assurance of my everlasting, fierce grace resting heavily and permanently upon you forever and ever. Look closely at your life right now, with all its messy, incredibly painful, complicated details, and completely, violently surrender it to this glorious, absolutely guaranteed ending. The incredibly short story of your temporary earthly struggles is rapidly closing, but the magnificent, beautiful, entirely endless book of your eternal life with me is just absolutely beginning to beautifully open its very first, stunning page. I absolutely love you with an entirely everlasting, unbreakable love. Welcome permanently home, my beloved child. The final, breathtaking horizon is violently rushing toward you, and the terrible moment I warned you about has entirely arrived. There is absolutely no time left to hoard the fading, temporary wealth of this broken world while millions blindly march toward eternal destruction. I am calling you to aggressively partner with me right this second to violently snatch as many souls from the eternal fire as humanly possible before the heavy door finally closes. Your fierce, sacrificial support is the exact vehicle carrying my final, desperate trumpet blast to the deaf, the blind, and the entirely broken-hearted. Throw your precious seeds radically into the white-hot fields of the final harvest, and watch them instantly erupt into an unstoppable, blazing wildfire of global revival. I declare over you today that those who lead many to absolute righteousness will shine brilliantly like the stars forever and ever in my eternal kingdom. As you forcefully invest your earthly treasure into my heavenly mission, I will fiercely protect your family, radically multiply your finances, and permanently secure your glorious, unfading reward. I command you to take massive, kingdom-shifting action right now. Sow your final harvest seed through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, and permanently mark your legacy in eternity. Amen.